KBHK TV 44 San Francisco.
From the terrifying universe of the inner mind to the outer reaches of the imagination, we're waiting, poised at the edge of our seats. Time stops as we approach the unknown. Just when we think we're safe, the moment happens, and we...
Saturday night, time for Gas Theater. Join me, Tom Labrie, for the best in late night fright.
Horror, suspense, mystery, science fiction, the supernatural. And now, sit back, relax if you can. You are about to enter the world of...
NPC the game.
Yo, what's going on, family? NPC the game live from Taiwan, the real District 13, Shaolin, broadcasting from the back rooms of Tainan, the oldest city in Taiwan. Good to have you, NPC the game. Once again, my name is Gabriel Blaxican, brother manifestation, whatever, you know, it's me. It's good to have you. And we have a special broadcast today. Very special broadcast today. And I'm excited. It's Parasocial Experiences, a conversation with Mel Pandora. And people have been asking me last week, NPC, do you have, well, who are your sponsors, right? Well, my sponsor tonight is someone y'all might know, huh? The sponsor tonight for this broadcast, where we have the lovely Mel Pandora, is just yours truly.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Powdered Dusty.
Yeah. Well, all people, man. Who would have thought, right? The Powdered Dusty is the sponsor for the Mel Pandora conversation. You know? Shout out to him and all the other sponsors. Get them in the back. Get them in the back. And it's a special day once again in the chat. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you. Maz, appreciate you. Just the thing, as you all know, there's some new faces here. We keep it respectfully here at NPC the Game live streams. I get it. People have their opinions and whatnot. I respect that. However, I got one rule tonight. Stick to the topic at hand. What we're talking about here, because it's an important parasocial social relationship. Stick to the topic at hand, that's fine. But any negativity, toxic, hating, you're gonna get timed out. And that goes for mods too, which I don't think will be a problem, because if you really do have a problem, and if you're a mod tonight, take a day off. That's all good. Take a day off, man, because it's not worth it. Because I look at this as this is my home, you know. I let you guys in. Respect it, all right? So with that said, this is a being, Mel Pandora, who has done it all, man. She is still the queen of the Panelverse, you know. She's taken on the institutions. She's fought the Catholic Church and won. Does it all, man. And today we're going to talk about parasocial relationships. So without further ado, the legend herself, Mel Pandora.
Hey,
good to have you.
How you doing, NPC? Hi, chat. Hi, everybody. Unfortunately, I can't comment because I've privatized my YouTube channel, which means I can't comment. So I'm not ignoring everybody. Hello to everybody. And I'm really, really excited about being here. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's great to have you. This is something that we've talked about a lot, you know, off the live stream, because it affects everybody, right? Parasocial relationship.
It does. And I feel so inspired. You know, since I've stepped back, I've really felt inspired, and I've spoken to you about this, to write a dissertation or a thesis, and I'm definitely taking this into real life. In what respect is that I'm going to be lobbying this year. So last year I spent online talking about the dangers of social media with the parasocial relationships and all that. This year I'm going to take it to Parliament.
Wow, to Parliament, huh? Whoa. That's real life. Now that's real life right there. Yeah.
So
really, what was the motivation for that?
Well, it was my experience on YouTube, really, that motivated me. And, you know, we always used to talk about on the panels about the dangers of social media. And it's all good talking about it. You know, people can have conversations, but I'm going to take actions against it. And I'm going to be doing bills, and I'm going to be, you know, proposing that there's changes made on social media.
Wow.
I may not get anywhere. But I'm definitely going to make some noise.
Yeah, because you have a history of this. You've done this before, right? You took them on, like we said in the intro, the big boys, right?
Yeah, I've taken on the Catholic institution, the church, the schools, the dioceses. I've taken them on, and I have implemented change. So I guess my experience on YouTube has definitely what changes, things like something. I really don't think that people with a criminal past should be monetized on YouTube, just things like that. So I'm going to be lobbying for things like that. So
so you're saying the people with a criminal past? Wait, we got to stop that. That's a big one, man, because a lot of people on YouTube probably have a criminal past and whatnot.
No, I know what you said. You said the other day, what about people that make mistakes and just want to make a better life for themselves? Absolutely. I think there has to be a screening process. And I think that, you know, because how many times do we hear about creators who con vulnerable people out of large amounts of money? We hear it a lot, right?
Yeah. Right.
So I think that, you know, there should be a screening process. I don't think that just anybody should be able to make money on YouTube.
Yeah, but like that's what I said. Yeah, yesterday was, you know, there's people that make mistakes, and this might be the only chance they have to get back on their feet, making, you know, a YouTube video from their house or their car or whatever. So that's what I was thinking, you know. And I get it. It probably would, because there's a lot of bad hombres out there.
Yeah,
like scamming people and whatnot. But what about those people, though? That's all, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've just heard, you know, in the last few days that somebody, you know, conned a vulnerable older person out of something like 20 grand or something on, you know, on YouTube. And I think it's important. I think it's important that that there is some sort of screening process, and that will eradicate people conning people, or, you know, scammers. I think we need to remove the scammers from YouTube.
Yeah. And so this push to go to Parliament, what do you need to do to
well, I still, because I've been busy with my new job, I haven't looked into ins and out. It's just something that I want to do. I want to do this year. I want to be lobbying. Yeah. So what else in regards to this this bill, besides the criminal background check? What else is it? Well, I think the social media companies need to take more accountability about what happens on their platforms, and they don't. You know, they'll have their policies, they'll have their terms and conditions, but they don't reinforce them. So whereas normally I would never say this, but in this situation I will, is that if the social media companies don't take accountability, then I want the government to stop to moderate them. I want the government to step in.
Right.
So it's not something I would normally say, give the government more power. Absolutely not. But one tries, right? One tries to do good. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not. So
Yeah, because it does seem like the government and these corporations, they use these social media. Like when you make an account, you're basically an actor. Not only are you a consumer of their good, which is the social media, but you become an actor for whatever they're trying to. You become a brand. That's another way to put it. You become a brand, and
right. And also, I think to eradicate things like p-bombing, I also am a strong believer that because when you're monetized, you have to upload all your personal details. I think that everybody on YouTube should have to upload their personal details. So
right,
you're not just an email, and you can get away with doing things like p-bombing. No, if everybody has to have ID to be able to comment, then I think it would eradicate a lot of the p-bombers, right? Because YouTube would know who they are.
right. They would know who they are. Yeah. And from there, where else are we looking at in this?
We're looking at the parasocial relationships, and and I think, look, there's a correlation between depression and social media. The more you're on social media, the more depressed you become. Those are facts. So I think, and it's very easy to fall into pit holes, right? It's very easy to follow the crowd. And I think a lot of the time people behave how they behave online. They would never behave in that manner in real life because there would be accountability, right? And that's why I think, sometimes social media becomes like a playground for narcissists or a playground for people who are just full of shit. And where in real life, they can't behave that way because they'll get ostracized from community or their family or the law. I think definitely we need to regulate the social media streets so people don't act like fucking animals on YouTube, right? And so yeah, there definitely has to be change. Otherwise, where's it going to go? And also, there's another. Other than Mel, absolutely. I have become an expert in parasocial relationships. That's why I am talking about it right now.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, so whoever said that, it doesn't matter who it is. You are involved too if you're here right now, because everything's a parasocial relationship. This has been going on ever since the dinosaur media, as well, with people having these relationships with the TV anchor or the host or the actor, and thinking like they really know these people, and these people care about them.
Well, as I said
before interaction.
Yeah, it's the first time really that we've been able to interact with TV, right? Because normally when something's being broadcasted on television, we watch. We're not able to interact. This is the first kind of time that we are able to interact with things that we're watching on television. So I think a lot of, don't get me wrong, social media has its good and it has its bad, right? It's got its good because we can connect to members of the family that we may not be able to have connected with before, that live in different countries, right? But there's a lot of, what I think is happening is that a lot of people who are inadequate in life, right? Where, like I said, they may have a criminal background, so they're not able to work, or who have been ostracized from their families because they've got mental health problems. A lot of these people are able to behave in the manner that they do online because there's no consequences, right? There's no consequences. So it's definitely a case of, with good people, unfortunately, good people get swept up with all the, I've met online people with bipolar schizophrenia who have been ostracized from their communities, but yet are on social media acting like lunatics, and nobody says anything, nobody does anything. So
yeah, I mean, it's like it is new territory. This thing has only been, I only had it since 2011, my YouTube account, right? Various different in Facebook and all that. So we don't even know what it's doing to us. because a lot of times we don't stop for a minute and take account of like where we're at. It's kind of like someone that's in the midst of a big big drug addiction, for example. You don't know where you're at, literally physically sometimes, but also mentally, until you stop and take a break, and then you're like, how did I get here? And it's like that with some of these relationships we have.
Right, and people,
shows and whatnot.
well, some of the psychology behind it is quite extraordinary. I mean, so people sort of, either or social media rewards behaviors that in society would have, consequences for. So, people idolize people online that society would condemn. So it's an interesting dynamic, right? You think, well, in real life, you wouldn't be allowed to do that. So why is that okay on a public forum?
Well, I guess it is the last bastion where you can do that. You used to be able to shit talk people on the phone, I guess. Now you can do it online, But yeah, like people wouldn't talk the way they did if it wasn't for that. I guess what some of it is because I can only speak for myself, because dude, I think I'm the only one that's actually said this in the panelverse that I've known, is like I'm actually an addict, hopefully a recovering addict in the moment of all these panels, because they're fun and they're a good way to escape the pressures of day-to-day life. But I have to say, man, it's like some people become another person when they're up there. And
well, it's ethical
pretty
misconduct,
bad.
isn't it? It's ethical misconduct that generally society shields us from, but yet online there's none of that protection, because there's malignant narcissism. A lot of I think social media breeds malignant narcissism, right?
Mm.
And so it does. And I think it's because people the ones that the biggest trolls, the ones that shout the most, the ones that do more damage, I just think they're very unhappy in their own lives. I think that they've been ostracized. So I can't even say the word, sorry.
Ostracized, yeah,
from their communities or their families. And and they're manifesting their internal hate for themselves online, aiming at others.
Yeah.
So
it's much easier to point the finger and
because if you
look internal.
If you shout, look over there, and this, that, and the other, you're taking the attention away from yourself.
Right. Absolutely. That's why I think a lot of times I've gotten so angry and annoyed with people in the all of the above sector, as I call it here, because like that little bit inside me that I'm chastising them about. Like I mean I have that still inside me, but because a lot of these arguments I've had and stuff, I've never really have them in the squished reality, I call it, offline, because I'm pretty chill and whatnot, and nobody really tests me, because one, they'll probably be afraid of me. If they did, they wouldn't do that, and two, it's not worth it. There's a lot of things to deal with, but here there's no consequences and whatnot. But,
one of my biggest brain scratches, because it's very easy to talk about the narcissists and the people with severe mental health issues that really do need to be, some of them need to be institutionalized, right? But it's the enablers that I really had to kind of think hard about. The enablers, the people that enable that kind of behavior, the people that encourage that kind of behavior, and their motivations behind that.
Yeah. What is their motivations behind that, you think, in general?
I'm still not 100% sure, to be fair. The enablers, why do they do what they do? I'm not sure. It's still something I'm looking at and trying to figure out.
Well, remember we were discussing, and we talked to Buddha about too, like how a lot of times folks with narcissistic tendencies, I'm not going to say narcissism because I'm not a trained psychologist or psychiatrist, but with tendencies that we've all witnessed, it's easier. They're not very discriminative of who they hang out with, right? Because the top priority is not quality of the person and character of the person, more so, are they gonna let me get my shit off? And so if you get a lot of that going on where you don't really care the quality of person you're hanging out with, you're gonna just act the fool a lot of times, because no one's gonna hold you accountable, because the only rule in that type of fight club is just don't hold me accountable and I won't hold you accountable type shit. So it becomes a shit storm a lot of times, unless there's a good mediator there that can reel them back in sometimes.
So yeah, sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments and it's making me laugh. Because they think I'm going to get upset by bullshit. I don't, because I've learned, one of the big questions I used to have when I was doing, my channel, was how come the huge creators didn't interact with their crowds, or they used to just read the super chats and that's it. I'm starting to understand. There's a lot of unhappy people on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good people on YouTube, but there's a lot of unhappy people on YouTube that just project, nastiness, because they are incompetent in their own lives with their relationships with others. A lot of the time when you see people, like you see, whether it be men or women, attacking the opposite sex, it's because they are unable to communicate, unable to establish relationships with people of the opposite sex, and then they project it onto and that's when you get communities. I've forgotten what community is called, where they're all about the men are like, we don't need women in our lives.
Oh, you mean like MGTOW, men going their own ways?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that.
So yeah, and there's a lot of that goes on, and that's where the toxic femininity comes in, where they hate men. It's vice versa, and well, it's a sad state of affairs. And it's interesting, because I think, where's it going to lead to? Where's all this going to lead to? There's no boundaries on social media. There's no accountability on social media. Where's it all? And these are the adults. So what chance have the kids got?
They don't. If that's the adults doing it, man, they learn from that. They're just going to repeat the cycle probably. Yeah. That's what I wonder too, is like where, like I know where my son is right now. Literally, he's downstairs. Shout out to Ben. He's playing Mario Party with mom right now. He just got that Switch, so he's playing that. So I know what he's doing, and a lot of times I feel a little guilty about like doing these streams so long, even if it is 2 hours or 2 hours or whatever, because it's like time is precious. One, we work hard, yet we like our hobbies like streaming or whatnot, but our children are precious. You got to monitor them, because there's a lot of people that if you don't monitor them, they're gonna someone else is gonna monitor them for you, and you don't want that,
No, and look at the places that bad, the people, where they hang around. They hang around on social media, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's so easy to access children on social media. It's so easy to pretend to be someone else because you're just a thumbnail. So yeah, it's definitely, we need government to help us regulate, not just to protect our children, but to protect vulnerable people and to protect adults too in these kind of settings, So if the social media companies aren't prepared to kind of look at how toxic social media is and the parasocial relationships that happen on social media, they're not, we're just ignoring it, then someone else has to step up, right? And say, no, you will take accountability for what's happening on your platform. And this is all social media platforms. This is not just one. I mean, obviously, I'm talking about YouTube because that's where I've had the most experience. Hey, Chicky Chops, darling. I'm not ignoring chat. I just can't comment right now. So
looks like Lindsay has a comment. She said, ABC the game. Will there be an open panel or time for the community to ask questions? Probably later. Like, I know Mel has to leave because it's Easter. Happy Easter.
Yes.
Maybe Easter. Later, depending on how things are going. Like, we'll see. Yeah. But happy Easter, happy 420. Right. Today is also the Austrian painter's birthday as well.
Oh, there you go. You learn new things every day.
Yeah. So let's go.
Let's talk about the types of people that engage in parasocial relationships, right? So do you think that people are searching for just to be heard, to be seen, to be loved? Do you think that happens?
Right. Absolutely. Because one, how are you gonna find love and know what it is if you don't really, no one really loved you? No, you don't know how to love yourself, which means
Right.
like you don't know how to honor yourself and like respect yourself, take care of yourself health wise and physically, mentally. But yeah, I think most people they want to be noticed, and that form comes in the form of wanting to be noticed, and this is what it is. Just like people in the chat, they want, like, literally Clue just said, shout out to Clue Studios. He's like, Mel, you're not acknowledging me. He's being funny, but
No,
like,
Clue. I can't comment. I told everybody
Yeah.
I've privatized my channel, which means I can't comment on YouTube unless I unprivatize it. So I can't even comment on StreamYard.
Yeah, but I think he's being funny too, though, because he knows you have love for him for sure. He's a good dude. But yeah, that's kind of an example in the sense people just want to be acknowledged, man.
Well, hit me up on Discord, because he says I have an idea on how to lobby for change in laws and legislation.
Okay.
So yes, so absolutely hit me out, because like I said, my experience on YouTube has just inspired me just to do so much more. Mm-hmm. So much more, which is to do with YouTube, but just not in it.
Yeah. I think that you can do it. I mean, you've already done, like, I mean, that what you told, the narrative about you against the church and helping out your son and other people in similar situations. That's right. Pretty epic. That's nothing to be to snooze over,
Right. And it's inspired me to do my research. I've passed you some stuff from a man that a speaker that I really admire, and to do my research and to, potentially write something. It's inspired me to go back and do a master's degree in social, in social dynamics.
Yeah. Really? The situation you've been in the last year?
Yeah. It's inspired me to do so much more. And I thank everybody that's given me that inspiration, good or bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And life moves kind of fast, even when you're not online or listening as a consumer or producing as like a live streamer. But when you stop, how's that been for you as you've been taking this break? I assume it's a break.
Yeah. And do you know what? I've learned there's been so much personal growth. It really has, because one of the things that I realized that I was doing was that I realized that I was kind of hiding from real life, and I was kind of, brushing things under the carpet that needed addressing. And I'm back in the workforce full time now, and I'm addressing some of those things that I was brushing under the carpet. And I think a lot of people do tend to do that. They want to hide in social media to avoid facing real life.
Right.
And I've learned that the real life is outside of the social media. That's when you start living. I'm not going to spend 10 years on YouTube talking about the same shit over and over again. Absolutely not. Because that's 10 years of my life that I could be doing something in real life.
Right. And it is a great escape. Lindsay Smith says this is a good escape. I agree with that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But what does it become? It doesn't become an escape when some of us are at the escape hideout spot more than there are at their actually home.
Right. Yeah. And we all know, we've discussed it many a times, haven't we, MPC, that people are choosing to socialize less in real life. They're at home, they're on their computers, they're on their phones. Mm-hmm. And as a society, we're hiding from, and don't get me wrong, some people have social anxiety, which I understand, right? I understand people with social anxiety find it easier to communicate through a screen, and that's cool. I get that. But like I said, at the end of the day, you're not facing real life. You're not living your life.
Mm-hmm. No, you're not. You're just putting it to the side and whatnot.
Right. There's people who do have healthy relationships with social media, like yourself, NPC. You know, you go to work, you do a great job. You inspire young children. You mold them into the adults that they become. But there's a lot of people that are like, they eat shit, sleep, YouTube, or whatever platform you're on. Eat shit, YouTube, eat shit, and that's all they do. And that's a real sad state of affairs.
Yeah. It's like, just because it's good doesn't mean, it feels good doesn't mean you should do it, right? Because I easily could get immersed in it, and I'm in the midst of cutting back too. So, but it's hard, man. This thing.
Oh, it's very easy to fall into that, isn't it? It's very easy
it
to fall into that pattern. Eat shit, sleep, social media. Eat shit, sleep, social media. It's very easy to fall into that pattern. So I for me, it's a case of, I've done a lot of, growth. I've grown a lot over the last year. I've gained a lot of confidence. If you're not in it to do self-growth, then why are you in it? Why are you know? It's about self-growth, right?
Right. But you said, like, you've said it before, but you said you admit that you made mistakes and whatnot, right?
Of course I've made mistakes. I'm a human being. I think sometimes people look at creators like they're not human beings. But we're human beings. We make mistakes, we do good things, we accidentally do bad things. It's life. It's part of life. But
it is.
If you don't grow from your mistakes, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So
what is the point?
What is the point? And it's interesting. I think that with the parasocial relationships, that people look at things at people online, things that they're lacking. So it might be a partner, it might be a family member, it might be a friend, and they search it online. But unfortunately, there's people who are genuine, who are kind online, but equally there's people who are the exact opposite.
Right. Well, let me I wasn't even bring this up, but I have to say, Crazy Mama, I just put you on timeout, and you should know better as a mod. And because I had said before I started, like, everyone could express themselves and whatnot, but tonight there's only one rule here, and that's, like, keep it to what we're talking about. And I don't want to hear negativity and toxicity, and that does sound like kind of like a authoritarian, dictatorship. It's going to be a dictatorship tonight, for real. And you couldn't even respect that. And I said, if you're a mod and you can't respect that, you'll take the night off, right? Oh, you're not a mod. Fuck, I don't think you are a mod. Never mind. With that said, it's kind of interesting how you want to be here so bad that you had to do an alt account or whatever. So, hey, man, hopefully you can get something positive out of it.
Hopefully,
you were timeouted, right? So, damn.
But hello, darling. Hello, sweetie. But yeah, no, like I said, it's about self-growth, and I feel that I've grown over the last year with my confidence.
Yeah. Where do you go from now?
Well, when I get some time, because I'm still settling in, obviously, when I get some time, I'm going to be looking in how to start lobbying. I'm going to look into how much it costs to do a master's. And I really do want to write some sort of dissertation or theses on my experience on the YouTube streets. So, look, you know what it is, Princess Anja? I think people who try and damage other people's reputations online is generally because they have a poor status in real life, right? So you draw attention to you don't draw attention to your incompetence in real life. You have to then start harassing, slandering, lying, all that kind of stuff about other people. But it is what it is, and sometimes I feel that the worst of the worst comes out in humans on social media.
Yeah. It is the thing, man. Like, I don't know. It's weird. This is a pretty good little practice in the sense of, like, self-control, because most of these people don't. I don't really see them in your broadcast or my broadcast, yet they come here. And I just had one request, man, and they couldn't do it. And they said freedom of speech ain't here. No, there isn't. There's freedom of speech if you're gonna be positive or whatnot. We get it. You don't like
lies. It doesn't count freedom of slander, does it?
Exactly. Exactly. We get it. We don't. If you don't like one of us or whatever what we're saying, that's your right. However, ain't no freedom of speech here. I never thought it was. I never thought there was, man. Like, but if you're like someone who wants to express themselves and
Paul said it costs about
civilized way, go ahead.
No, I was just reading Paul's comment. He says a master's is about £8,000 a year. So I'm going to have to be doing some saving before I have that option. But it has inspired me to study more and just be productive in life. You know, I'm not going to respond to haters because it's them problem, not me problem.
Yeah. It's only a problem if you let it be.
What kind of parasocial relationships have you encountered being a streamer, a content creator?
I mean, what comes to mind first is there's been some people over the years that have definitely. I'm talking about like this is like a positive thing in a sense, but it became too much. They definitely wanted some guidance or first attention for sure, but then some guidance and whatnot. And which is great because I like to help people, right? You know, sometimes I need help when I reach out for people. I'm happy when they give it to me, but it became a parasocial relationship where a particular viewer or type of viewer would ask for, to speak offline and stuff, and we'd speak offline or whatever. And you give them advice because you've been there, done that. Yet they don't really want to really engage with it. They just want to like think about it in theory, but not in practice. And that became, and then they ended up becoming a burden because all they want to do is ruminate about their problem over and over again without actually trying to do something about it. So, like that, yeah, that's about it. That comes to mind.
The story of the creator. In my channel, I used to welcome everybody, and a lot of smaller creators, because I'm small, but even smaller ones. And I used to occasionally check in on them. How's your content? Hope everything's doing well. What's coming up on your channel, kind of stuff. And there was one particular creator I used to do that with. How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. How's it? What are you doing on your channel and what have you? And he did it with my co-host, Wiccan, as well. I didn't realize till afterwards is that one day while I was live, he was like, "You're cheating on me," kind of thing. Like,
you're cheating on me.
And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
In his head, he'd created a relationship that didn't exist. And I think that trolls, especially, they associate certain people because they might remind them of certain situations that they've been through. And then they start directing all their hate at that person who has no idea what the hell is going on. So there's definitely a lot of unhappy people on these platforms as well. I am a bit of a flirt clue, but the way I'm online, that's the way I am in real life, So when people turn to personal attacks, well, that's all they do. People don't, when the trolls or the haters start personally attacking you, they don't attack your, what you do, your content, your job, your whatever. They attack you personally because that's the only direction they can go in.
Right. And this comment from Lindsay Smith says conflict is a natural and global. Yes, definitely. That's life on default. Conflict is happening all the time. You get order out of conflict, right? And learn how to solve problems and whatnot, become stronger. It's just that as it relates to today, this situation, I'm trying to minimize it. And as a host, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? That's how I see it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wanted to run this by you about, because I was talking about the dinosaur media. It is an interesting take by this gentleman on subreddit about parasocial relationships, and he let me see, get this up. He was saying, let me see, is it sharing? No, take that down. Where's my parasocial relationship? Well, my boomer status. There we go. Yeah, he was saying, this person was saying, parasocial relationship with internet personalities are just wild. I've worked in the entertainment business for over 2 decades now, and starting with old traditional media, TV and radio, and as of late, I've done a lot of work with streamers and YouTubers personalities. With old media, only a rare occasion you get some just obsessed with a host, DJ, news anchor, etc. Someone who just loves listening or watching them daily to the point where they feel they know them. And with streamers and YouTubers, especially ones who interact with the people, who participate with the people in their chat rooms in real time, it's at a whole new level. And I've seen these fans meet their favorite internet personalities in real life on many occasions. And the closeness they feel with these people is so much higher than I've seen before. And you've probably, maybe not people who met physically, but there's probably some good friendships or
I've made some amazing friendships. You know, like I said, there is good. You know, we're not saying it's all bad. There is good that can come out of social media, but I think it's important to highlight the bad so moving forward we can improve.
Right. And then this person says, in all fairness, it's been my experience. Wait, did I read that already? Oh yeah, it's been my experience that the vast majority of fans of all personalities, both old and new media, are super polite and respect boundaries, but there are outliners. With the old media, there were fans who literally thought personalities were directing messages directly at them during their broadcast, and these people were obviously mentally unwell. That's like that person you just mentioned, huh? But with these streamers, I've seen a much higher percentage of fans, people who come across as otherwise mentally stable, that also feel they really know these people. And I've also seen a lot on quite a few people that the person you see and hear when a camera or mic is turned on is more often than not a character they're playing. In reality, many of them are just normal, boring people like the rest of us. Even more so after they've been on for hours at a time. If they were to grab a coffee with one of their favorite personalities, they wouldn't be meeting the person they've known from the videos. And I learned this the hard way when I took a YouTuber on a date over a decade ago. I would say though, like I definitely have like a persona when I go on these lives, but all that persona is probably just a little louder version of who I am, you know, but the core is still the same. And maybe that can be at someone's detriment. You think?
Right. Yeah.
We don't have that buffer.
Well, I've definitely noticed that sometimes certain creators will have their YouTube persona and there'll be someone completely different in real life. And to an extent, I guess I think maybe is it possibly somebody you become someone that you wish you were in real life.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that could be it? Or do you think
yeah? I mean, yeah, well, especially if you're a person that, like we said earlier, didn't feel like they have much of a voice, either in the past or in their current situation. So yeah, that could be.
Yeah, I think there's a lot
like a paper tiger.
Right. Yeah.
An extreme case.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of people that pretend to be someone else because that's what they want to be in real life. But they're not heard in real life. You know, they maybe feel inadequate in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put on a persona online because that's what they want to be.
Right. Yeah, they want to stick out their chest a bit. Puff the chest out.
Puff the chest out.
Yeah. Yeah, this person said, yeah, and Mrs. Flo, I'm reading a subreddit about parasocial relationship from a person that was in the looks like it was a lawyer that was in the entertainment field for many years, and they switched to internet, helping internet streamers. And they also said, but I guess this is just a new evolution of media. For a while, we didn't know what actors sounded like or what radio DJs looked like. Before music videos, we didn't even know what our favorite bands looked like. performing unless we saw them live or on talk shows. That's true. And since the beginning of my career, I've seen the general population become way more media savvy than they ever were before. They can call out obvious PR stunts, and big studios can't really protect their public image from their past mistakes as much anymore. I think with this parasocial thing, people eventually wise up to it as well, as many have already. But still, seeing them in real life is still a pretty weird thing. Now that's from a perspective of a more of a like top tier presenter, media, internet presenter, live streamer or whatever. But like we were talking about before too, about the tiers, so was it social tiers on YouTube? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, for the first time ever, we're on a platform where we're with where we're with celebrities, where with entertainers, where with academics, where with scholars, everybody is on the same platform, right? Everybody. And I've never ever thought about social class because I'm working class, right?
Right.
I'm working class. All the people surrounding me are working class. I've never thought about class until I had my experience on YouTube. And the thing is, and there is a classing system on YouTube, right? There is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I'm definitely something I'm going to be looking into more about social class and how it affects when you put everybody in the same space and the dynamics of that.
Yeah.
And Lee says, I'm sure there are true friends born of YouTube too. Absolutely. I've made some great friendships.
Oh yeah, man. My friend, my best friend now, Shadow Buddha, we met on another streamer stream like almost 4 years ago. Yeah, definitely. There's been other people I met too. Master Creator 23, True Life, all lots. List goes on, man.
Right. And
Definitely.
Social media also enables psychotic episodes. I think, when it comes to people with mental health disorders, I can't help but to, my observations have been that online they're triggered to have more psychotic episodes than they would do in real life, because in real life there's consequences, right?
There is. Yeah.
There is. And so, yeah, I think I might even write to Trump and ask him to bring your institutions back.
Oh man, 47, President 47. Yeah. I mean, you probably have some uncommon commonality with them. Both are Geminis. You can very polarizing people.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, with mental health and all that, I've always been, you went to my channel. I always try to support people with mental health. I think it's important that we support people with mental health issues, but at the same time, that can also be a double-edged knife, right?
Yeah, because you're not a professional.
Right. I'm not a professional. Yeah. And whereas people do need help in that respect, where they're not taking their medication or they're not seeing a therapist, I think that, they project all the craziness that goes on in their heads online. And it's a sad state of affairs, because some people generally are very ill. They're very, very ill. They're not taking their meds. They're not taking, they're not having therapy. And so they stop projecting online. And it's not, it's when you stand back and look in and not be in and look out, it's very interesting to see, it's interesting to see the ones that, clearly do have mental health issues. And clearly need a lot of help. But then at the same time, there are people who, like I said, may have social anxiety. And I completely understand why they would interact online, because it's easier for them.
Right.
We ain't doctors, Chicky Chops. No, we're not. We're not doctors.
Yeah. It is easier. I guess it is for some people to interact online, but it would be nice to have more friends in the 3D squish reality. But it is what it is right now.
I am a mental health advocate, but I also have to be realistic in that when people with mental health don't take their meds or are irresponsible, then they have to be accountable.
Mm-hmm.
I am a mental health advocate, always have been. But at the same time, people got to take accountability.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of streamers that are not only in YouTube but Twitch and even Instagram lives that are mental health advocates for sure. There's a lot, because that's the $1 million question. The topic is, if you I've talked about this by myself with just one person in the chat. What's his name? Look Within, Patrick Bateman. Like the fact that pretty much everybody's gone. Their mind is they're blasted. They're not right, or they're not right. And the reason I say this is because I've been there too. And I see that most folks aren't focusing on what they have in front of them, and instead they rather put up this false persona that because they don't want to be seen as taking the L ever.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing that, it just makes it even more cornier and stupid, right? And there might be people that say like, yeah, you're doing it right now, Gabriel or Mel, but it's like, hey, maybe we are, but at least I'm calling myself out, and not just for the sake of being self-righteous, but for the fact that it is what it is, man. And once you start taking care of what's in the present moment, I mean, that's when the real life begins.
And I think when you hold a mirror to someone's face and they see that it's ugly, you're going to get pushback. You're going to get hate because nobody wants to see the ugly side, right?
No, most people don't.
Right.
Definitely, at least in the beginning. I think some of us that have true grit do, but at first, it doesn't mean we don't get a little thin-skinned when they first tell us, when we first look at ourselves, But then, if we're really messing up, we got to know. You got to suck it up and sack up.
And sometimes this happens also. Sometimes, and I speak about, because I am an advocate for mental health, but my brother, I have many discussions with my brother about this topic, and he's quite right. He says, you know what? Sometimes people, they use that as an excuse to behave shitty, but it is what it is. It's an excuse. So there has to be accountability, whether even if you suffer from mental health, there has to be for what you do, there has to be accountability, right?
Right. There has to be. I'll be accountable for this with Lady Flo, who I like. Katie K, she says, certainly one-sided. We can't push back on the BS that's being... I mean, I don't think it's BS, but you do? Okay. I mean, I'll take it for what it is. You can maybe it's BS, okay? But the point is, it's like, this is my channel. This is how I'm running the shit right now. And like, that would suck if I really felt like I really wanted to share with with the panel and the chat, like how I really feel, how angry I was or annoyed. That would make me pissed off a lot. I'd probably just leave and not keep saying anything. But yeah, man, I see where you're coming from. That's it. It's not like I don't understand where you're coming from. Yeah, but it's like I guess people just don't do it like that. Where I was brought up, if it's your house, you do what you do. You do as you do, and if you don't want to take your shoes off and walk around,
people when they're losing an intellectual conversation, start acting like children and stop, spitting their toys at the pram and all that. So it is what it is.
What is this? Please don't clog up the chat with that spam or putting letters and shit like that.
And that is against TOS. So
it's kind of
it's hilarious. It's hilarious. You crack on, let them crack on. I just think it's funny because I think that people who are insecure or who have, not a lot of self-confidence tend to attack on people's looks.
Yeah.
So whatever.
We're not gonna do that, like ad hominems and all that shit for a minute. Well, I didn't mean to ban you. My bad. I meant to just put you on timeout. Oh well, I'll fix it later. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, the fact that People want to throw hate at me for whatever reason. They don't like what I'm saying. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect my real life. This is the internet, guys. It's not real. Live
No,
your
it's
life.
not. Seriously.
Yeah.
I was always told, like, from my big brothers, like, just move on. If you don't
Move
like
on.
something,
Yeah.
just move on. Like, keep it moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch
And
this. Let's
personal
watch this.
attacks like that on my looks, they don't bother me too much.
Yeah. Well, Jordan Peterson was great right here.
Yes, I love
social media. He has a lot of good things.
I don't always agree with all of his opinion, but I certainly agree with his opinions on social media. It's insane. It's insanity. It's people behaving not all, because like I said, they are good people, but it's people behaving at their worst and not not being accountable. You want to slander and lie and all that kind of stuff. I think YouTube should have, how YouTube, when you're a creator, has a copyright tool. I think that YouTube should have a tool to help sue people too.
Right. To sue them?
Yeah, to sue them for slander. Yeah, I think there should be a tool where you can be connected with lawyers when people are slandering and lying and making up bullshit. I think there should be a tool to help creators protect themselves and their communities.
That's a whole nother level of business mergers. The pairing of the lawyers with the YouTube. Yeah, I mean that's your opinion. That's not my opinion, but yeah, that's a lot. I'll say this: a lot of people sue people here over on Facebook over slander all the time.
Right.
All the time. It's wild. It can be like a little thing. Like someone said, like, your dog pooped on my yard, and you called me a garbage person or something, and then they'll take him to court on Facebook. Why would that on Facebook? Yeah. It's wild.
Right. So it's not that deep, but sometimes when people go out and go real life and try and ruin reputation, hey Robbie, in real life, that's definitely time for suing people. So and how many times do we hear of certain YouTube creators being sued? And quite rightly, there should be. Like I said, freedom of speech doesn't protect freedom of lies.
For sure, or like bigotry, for example. Right. That's something that I've seen a lot in all of the above sector of the panelverse.
Paul says, I don't think that would work, as each country has different definitions of. No, you're right, but I mean, just have a tool where they can be connected with lawyers to get advice.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, advice on it. All right.
Right.
Like a sue button.
Well, no, like, how to conduct a cease and desist, for example,
Yeah. I see.
Machine lies, they are some obsessed weirdos. They really are. They are.
Did you say that? I know.
Yeah, and actually someone who's in chat contacted my son. Thank you, Robin.
Somebody did that?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Even admitted it in someone else's channel. I'll write it. Can I write in the backstage? I don't know if I can write.
You want to you said lighten it?
No. I said I can't. I don't know if I can write in the back of the private chat. Let me see if I can write in the private chat. There's someone in chat who openly admitted to contacting my minor son.
Damn.
Yeah, this is what I mean about weirdos. There you go. Put it in private chat.
Robbie S.
Robbie's lovely. He's lovely.
Oh, that's somebody else. Okay.
I'll put it in the back chat.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. Damn.
What's it take? I mean, who does that?
People with mental health issues. Yeah. That's who does that.
Yeah.
So, and openly admitted it to it as well in someone else's chat. It's like, wow. Not only are you contacting minors, but you would openly admit it. It's like, okay, you crack on being crazy. You do you, I do me.
Right.
Leave the kids alone. Absolutely, cheeky chops. And this is some of the things that, going forward, people are going to say, what are you lobbying for? I'm lobbying to protect kids, just for starters.
Yeah. What is this? Somebody, You're destroying the rest of your country's freedom of speech. Criminals can't be in the internet. What's next? Men, women, blacks or men and women are same as what? Okay. Any thoughts?
No, I just think that I don't think criminals should be allowed to victimize people online, vulnerable people online.
Yeah, you said some dude scammed a woman out of 20,000.
Yeah. I mean,
how do you do that?
I don't know exactly. Like I said, this is just something that I've been made aware of recently, and it has happened plenty of times. I remember one time I was watching a creator. It was Insanity, and somebody in chat donated quite a large amount of money. And in her comment, she said that she was dying and that she wanted to contribute the last of her savings to this channel. You know what? That creator didn't even acknowledge what she'd said.
She was dying.
Yeah, and she wanted to contribute the last of her, everything that she had before she left the planet to the creator. And that creator didn't even acknowledge what she'd said. Nothing.
Yeah.
And it to me, like, that's who I want to try and protect, the vulnerable.
Right. Yeah, man. The children.
Children.
Real
people,
children.
Vulnerable people. So, yeah, to me, it's insanity. And I think that when I say I want to protect, I want to try and put measures in place to protect vulnerable people from people with a criminal past. Is that something bad? Because if it is, then I'm bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some. Are we not men? You're all children, including you, my friend, including you, huh? Yeah, check this out, Mel. This Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in chill mode. I'm in vacation mode almost right now. Let's see.
Lonesome than they were. They're more socially isolated. Yeah, I'm loath to make intergenerational comparisons, because every generation thinks that this current young generation is worse than any generation that's ever existed.
What is better and what is worse than ever right now in our culture?
We have no idea what this intense focus on social media is doing to everyone, but particularly to young people. I mean, can you imagine that nothing you ever did as a teenager could be forgotten?
Clue.
I live in a world where.
Can you imagine if anything, you just said, if everything you said, was never forgotten, if especially when you're a teenager, that's pretty bad.
Right.
That would be pretty bad.
I want to thank Robbie for his comment as well.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Robbie, yes. When people talk shit about Mel, I know right then that Mel was doing something good. And I'm a 9-year-old in YouTube age, so Robbie's been around. He vouches for you. Yeah, I vouch for you. Good people.
Where people have said horrible things about me on the internet and on social media.
Yeah, that's fun, eh?
Yeah, it's so fun. I know you have a lot of experience with that, but I don't know them, so I can write that off to. They don't even know me, right? But now this happens in school, and a kid can read this, and they're in class with that person, or they have a locker near them. And I think that is such a dangerous and horrible thing for a kid to have to deal with. I very much empathize with kids today and social media.
So there's a female pattern of antisocial behavior, and there's a male pattern of antisocial behavior. And the male pattern of antisocial behavior is a lot more physically violent. The female pattern of antisocial behavior is reputation destruction.
Ooh.
What was that? She got a ooh. Run it back. You hear that, Mel? You there, Pandora?
Sorry, I just got a quick call. Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. This guy is a very wise man. And
listen to this right here. Check this out.
There's a female pattern of antisocial behavior, and there's a male pattern of antisocial behavior. And the male pattern of antisocial behavior is a lot more physically violent. The female.
Yeah, this is probably why it might be a good for some men to be getting their frustrations off online like this, I guess. But don't go overboard, right? With it.
Male pattern of antisocial behavior is reputation destruction.
Reputation destruction. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which we've seen. Yeah. I mean, the women do it here and the men do it here too.
Right. Oh, yeah. Bad behavior is genderless. It applies to both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, one of my guests that used to come on my show on my channel is watching, and he's a numerologist, and he's put, "Hi Mel, how you doing?" And he says, "You've crossed my mind a few times because you are in 5," and this probably makes more sense to you than it does to me. You are in 5 personal year. I expect a lot of changes to happen this year. You're getting different opportunities, experiencing different things. The adventures, energy, also moving in travel. People that are 5 personal year always go through big changes in their life.
Yeah.
So
yeah, big changes for sure for everybody. Yeah. What would that was nice of him. That was kind of him to do that. What would you say to people who said that? Would say back on this real quick on this, because this is a good point. What you said about female character, what do you say, character destruction or something? What would you say if someone said that you have been guilty of that in terms of like if you were like defending yourself or something like that?
Sorry, ask me that again.
What would you say to someone that said like, oh, you were like me or you were guilty of doing that to people in the past in the panel?
Doing what to people in the past?
What she said about the female
the energy. The character.
No, the character assassinating the character of somebody. That mode.
If we've done it, assassinating a character, I think motive is a big thing, isn't it? NPC. Are you assassinating a character because you're trying to point out that that person is a bad person? Are you assassinating a character because of different reasons? Right.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you're saying that there's exceptions when it's okay.
I think if somebody is a bad person and they're doing bad to innocent people, then yeah, why not point it out? There's lots of channels that do that, right? There's channels that point out other bad creators and they do a great job.
Yeah. I'm not yeah, that's true. There's some people that that's their whole MO even. Yeah.
Right. I think motivation and why one does things is key, really.
Yeah.
Hang on, Gabriel. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to step away 1 second from. Obviously, everyone thinks the person they attack are bad.
That's true.
They're just bad.
No, that's true. Now the fact is, are they? That's the question. Objectively, I guess you have to get a consensus or something on it. Let's see.
Sorry, Gabriel, I had to step away. I had to just go get a packet of cigarettes. But yeah, no, I mean, look, in life we make choices, right? We move forward. We try and do good, or we try and do bad, or we just in the middle, right? I think that there's a lot of good content creators that do very good on YouTube, but then there's also content creators that aren't, that content creators that go under the muse that they're protecting children, but are quite the opposite. And they and they exploit children. There's creators that want to exploit, like I said, vulnerable people for their money. And it's the enablers that I'm going to be studying, the enablers of bad behavior that do stuff like that. That is something that I definitely want to look into more. So
there's a lot to look at. Yeah, for the chat. I think Flow State, you particularly. I already said in the beginning I'm not bringing up the old shit in the chat. So just
no.
You want me to? I don't feel like timing you out or whatever.
Yeah.
But
people need to move.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about it another time, that's fine. I'm talking to Flow State, I guess, right now, and whoever else. Like, I'm not talking about stuff that happened a couple months ago and whatnot, because I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. So I think that's a third time. What do they say when you say things 3 times? That should be sufficient. And that's about it. So let's go with this right here, Mel.
Right.
Back on this Jordan Peterson tip right here.
Ooh.
And it scales on the internet. Physical aggression doesn't, right?
Right.
Because what can you do?
Right.
It's limited.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's not serious. It can obviously be mortally serious, right? It's
course,
serious.
yes.
But it does characterize a small minority of men, especially consistently.
Wow.
But female antisocial behavior, which is almost never discussed, there's a large research literature on it. Because people have wondered, that if you look at boys and girls, for example, 2-year-olds, I mentioned them, some 2-year-olds are aggressive. And that's by nature, mostly. Okay, so they kick, hit, bite, and steal in groups of 2-year-olds. Now, they're not very harmful because they're 2. But if it isn't socialized, it turns into conduct disorder, and that turns into antisocial and criminal behavior. That's what happens. So most people who are criminal by the time they're 18 were aggressive when they were 2 and weren't socialized. Okay, so now most of those aggressive 2-year-olds are boys. If you define aggression by hitting, kicking, stealing, and biting.
Sure.
But the reputation destruction, that starts early with girls, and that's their form of antisocial behavior. And, we don't know what political manifestation female antisocial behavior will produce, because the complete immersement of men and women in the political realm is new. But to think that it'll be nothing, well, you have to be a complete bloody fool to think that, because obviously the dark side of men has a dark political edge. Why wouldn't the dark side of women have a dark political edge? But I can't help seeing it. I see it. I think that's the reputation destruction that's characteristic of social media, seems to be. I mean, I saw it when girls went after my daughter, in particular, when she was a teenager, bullying on social media. They use reputation destruction, and it can be unbelievably vicious. Well, you said you've been attacked plenty online. It's also possible that, there's a large proportion of...
Yeah, man. What do you do when you're attacked? Does it ever hurt you?
Sorry, say that again, Gabriel.
When the times you've been attacked online, does it hurt you? Like, what do you do when you're hurt?
Has it hurt me? Sometimes it's hurt me. It's hurt me when I felt that I was maybe close to someone. But just random people that I don't know throwing insults at me doesn't hurt me. I just think it's quite funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's normally the ones that you get close to. Those hurt a little bit.
Right. That could be a gut punch, as they say.
Men who use reputation destruction too online. So I wouldn't say that this is something limited to women by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that those 2 patterns of antisocial behavior exist. So, and that one doesn't scale. So that is a relevant issue. You were asked about body image, or commented on body image. A lot of people think that that's a consequence of social pressure, body image trouble. And I don't think there's any evidence for that, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, well, so women are more likely to have body image problems than men.
Right.
Okay, so that's the first thing. So, and that's likely because body morphology is more important in mating choice for women than it is for men. Men tend to prefer women who show signs of fertility. That's associated with youth and symmetry. So symmetry is very, very important as a marker of beauty. So we tend to see symmetrical faces as beautiful. Waist to hip ratio, 0.68. That seems to be relatively standard culturally, regardless of body size. Is more dangerous to them, and they have to be more threat sensitive, maybe because they take care of infants. And so, one question, I've never discussed this, I don't think, online. Women become more sensitive to negative emotion than men when they hit puberty, not before. And it never goes away after that. Right. So it's a permanent transformation.
Even after menopause, just like...
Yeah, well, the men and women get more stable emotionally as they get older, but the difference between men and women doesn't seem to attenuate. And so women become sexually vulnerable at puberty. So that might be one reason why they would be more sensitive to danger, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of places in the world where you wouldn't walk alone.
Sure.
Right. There's plenty of places where walking alone would make you a valid target even.
Right.
Right. Right. And I would say that's probably more the norm for human societies than the exception. We assume that our relatively safe environments are normal. They're not. They took a lot of work to get safe, like so much work that it's almost incomprehensible. There's just so many things we take for granted that make up that safety, that are invisible because it's mostly there. But I also wonder possibly if women's nervous systems are optimized for the woman-child dyad and not for the woman. So imagine that, well, if you have a baby, you're definitely more vulnerable.
Right.
Right. And so perhaps your nervous system should reflect that because you're the one making the decisions. And, because women are more prone to anxiety disorders and depression than men. That seems true cross-culturally. It goes along with that sensitivity to negative emotion. You think, what's the advantage to that? Because it causes a lot of suffering. It's also a good predictor of marital instability because higher levels of negative emotion predict, unhappiness. It's certainly possible that women's nervous systems, adult women's, are optimized for the infant mother dyad. I mean, why would we expect it to be other than that? Because a baby is so unbelievably dependent. You have to be more cautious once you have an infant, especially one under 1 year old.
What are the positives of anxiety?
Well, you're more likely to stay away from danger.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So moving forward for this year, I've got the channel. It's there. I'm not sure how much work I'm going to be doing on the channel, but I'll definitely be doing things externally to do with the platform.
You say you're going to do things externally, meaning what you mean by that?
Well, outside of the platform.
Oh, okay. You mean life stuff, huh?
Yeah, real life stuff, like I've already mentioned, So that's been my inspiration. And if it's come with hate, then it comes with hate. It is what it is. Yeah. Go on.
Go ahead.
I know that I'm going to be trying to lobby for positive change. If people don't like that because they're happy behaving badly on a public forum, then that's their problem, not mine.
Yeah. Mel, how long have you been on YouTube? Not that long, right?
No. I about 2.5 years.
So in 2.5 years, you got like 4,000 subs. Damn. That's a lot.
Yeah, because obviously the channel, I never had any intention of creating a channel. It just happened. And then it became what it became. And, I enjoyed my channel. I enjoyed doing everything. But I already knew before going on my trip abroad that I was going to have to come off because I told you I got a full-time position. So I already knew before I even went on holiday that I was going to have to step back. And like I said, the experience that I had towards the end has definitely inspired me to do other stuff. I'm not about to sit on YouTube year after year after year repeating the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, do you think that there's only so much stuff you can talk about?
What do you mean?
Like, because you said repeating the same stuff.
Yeah, no, I don't. Talking about subjects is great, but I don't want to stop just at talking. I want to do more.
Yeah, talk for just talk's sake. You want to make actual change in the world, positive change, something like that.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying. And that's what's inspired me this year to study. Like I said already, I want to write a dissertation or a thesis on my experience. And I want to try and do more than that, and that's me just personally, just being on YouTube year after year after year after year. If people that do that, great, whatever. Everybody's entitled to has their own opinion, is entitled to do what they want. This is just me personally.
Right. And before I bring this this OG on, let me remind you who our sponsor is tonight.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Powdered Dusty.
What's going on? TML, the legend.
Hello, hi, darling.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, greetings, friends. What's going on?
Yeah, man. Well, a lot, man. On this parasocial experiences, a conversation
Digital
with Mel Pandora.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Brought to you by
Mission
the Powdered
Lights.
Dusty.
What kind of parasocial experiences have you had? I'm curious.
Oh, I've had all kinds. Yeah,
We're
I think all kinds.
here,
Almost
right?
everything. Yeah, I mean, almost everything you mentioned, I've experienced. You know, so I've been able to piss a lot of people off. I've been able to, you know, even create controversial material. You know, I think considered by some even be censored, and all of that type of stuff. So yeah, so I've engaged in, I think, a high level of memeing. I think some of my memes have been stolen by, you know, top level figures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like recently I made a joke. We was Vikings instead of we was Kangs. You know,
Okay.
and that got stolen by, you know, that joke got stolen by, you know, a major dude who's on like Alex Jones and stuff. You know.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Damn.
So it spread around.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's,
you can.
I mean, yeah, that's. I mean, it all relates to the parasocial relationships. And I remember we were talking recently, and you were telling me these points about like the social relationship in media. It's the new form of media, and you're the product. Can you? Can you fucking click on that for a minute?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was saying that, you know, basically in social media, you're the product. You know, essentially, you know, it's a form of corporate espionage. You know, so it's telecommunications companies, you know, collecting information on people. You know, but on the other end, you know, you know, like I was telling you, you know, you can't ghost somebody in a village. You know, so I said, you know, the reason why you have rights, you know, RIGHTS, is because they took away your rights, RITES. And it's because we don't have cultural traditions that we have social media. Right? You know, so in terms of, you know, we don't have local communities, right? So it's a replacement for the local community. And the type of you know, relationship you have is obviously mediated by the technology, right? So that is one thing that I like to say is that, you know, is that it's essentially a way that, you know, it curtails or mediates the person's personality, you know, like in a way that, you know, when somebody engages in TV media, you know, it's engaging a certain level of their social experience, you know, mainly the iconicity of images and symbols, right? When somebody analyzes a text, right, that is more of a, you know, a passive form of mediation, right? Because it's not engaging with the symbols, with the person's symbolic reference frame. You know, so so all forms of media transform the user, right? So that's a little bit of, obviously, the way that it translates. You'll notice that emails have their own language, text messages have their own language, right? If you're limited,
yeah, we speak differently than we on those different modalities of communication. Definitely.
Yeah. And then I think it's a new type of relationship, right? Where you know, there's low barrier to entry, right? So what they say is that the digital space is, you know, all exit, no voice, right? Meaning that it's based on, you know, two factors really. I call, you know, escapism and voyeurism. You know, where that transforms the user. You know, where you could, I mean, always locate to a different space and become a new person. You know, that form of anonymity is freedom. You know, and it can be translated. And it's just like how you know, airplanes and cars allow you to move to a new town and be a new person. You know, whereas back in the day with villages, you wouldn't be able to do that, right? You'd be schooled in your cultural traditions. To go far and wide would be to have to learn a whole new way of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, completely new.
Yeah, completely new.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's the thing I say with all technology and media, they both interconnect and isolate.
Yeah.
They have the dual thing of both atomization, but also over socialization. Right. So this is
Over socialization. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. K stuff. We talked about that, huh? That's
one
of his writings.
Yeah, it's probably not good. It's not,
no, I mean, I'll say that. I can say that. I'm talking about Coach K, yeah.
We'll get our
Go Duke,
yeah, we'll get
Duke,
our yeah, of course.
Duke Blue Devils. Yeah. but no, let's talk about that though, in terms of over socializing. Yeah. I remember you were talking about that relates, liberalism. A lot of that goes hand in hand, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, well it goes with these two things that liberalism really creates, right? Which is which is individualism on the one end, and then collectivism on the other end. Right. So they're like extrapolations of these two notions, right?
Yeah.
People get drawn down.
Yeah. And I'm just curious. What do you think about, because I've known people on YouTube that have just turned up at creators' houses. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had that stuff too.
What do you think? What kind of, is that a psychotic behavior, do you think?
I don't think so. I think it might be a form of corporate espionage, right? Where people are trying to essentially scare their competitors, right? So it's a way of trying to get somebody, because somebody who looks up your house or something, like, because I've had people do that to me too, right? And I think the motive is that they want somebody else to attack you, right? So they're hoping that somebody hates you as much as they do. Right. So this is the kind of move that they're making. Right. And also they're trying to scare you. Right. So, yeah. So I think personally, I mean, it may be psychotic behavior in the sense that the person who's doing it doesn't care. Right. If something happens to you. Right. But in the other sense, yeah, I wouldn't classify it as particularly psychotic because there's other motives,
What about ones that just turn up and say, "Hey, I've seen your YouTube. I love your channel." I've known people like that too. That just turn up, it's just someone in chat that just turns up at your address and knocks on your door and says, "Hey, I love your channel." What kind of behavior? That's insanity to me, but it happens.
I mean,
I think, yeah.
I mean, you probably have more experience like that, Machine. Some people that did some vile shit to you.
The thing is that I piss a lot of people off, right? So I get a lot of death threats and all that.
It's expected. It's exactly. Par for the course.
Exactly. But but I kind of calculated that moving into it, right? I said, well, this is a form I'm putting myself up for to be spied on an extreme level, right? And have my personal details put out in the open, and even probably lies made up about me and my family members as well, right? So so all of that I kind of expected, right? And I warned my family and people about it, right? But in terms of and I mean, there's another thing. I'm kind of reckless in the whole sort of thing, right? So I don't really have a good view of my own safety and being in this position, putting myself
taking accountability.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. So so the thing is that it's not always surprising, but you have to weigh what you're trying to do, right? With what the risks are, right? And that's the thing, is that it's impossible to take intelligent risks in the world unless you know the effects of the technology, right?
Right.
So so since we're mediated by technology in a world that's controlled by the rule of experts, it's extremely important for people on a regular scale to actually familiarize themselves with the uses and the misuses of the technology, right? Before they engage with it, right?
And do you think that we know moving forward how technology is going to affect society? Do we? I don't think that. I don't think we know.
No, yeah. I think very little people are. I think there's almost nobody studying. Almost nobody studying it. So I think that's a huge problem. I think that, and another huge problem is that technology changes and evolves and progresses way too fast for society to adapt. Right. So this is also a notable thing that's that both sociologists, psychologists, and anthropologists have all noticed. Right. So and I mean, obviously there's huge studies like MK Ultra and stuff that do studies on people in an age where they are quote unquote over socialized or mediated by technology. Right. And obviously mass media, propaganda and mass surveillance are a natural result of information gathering, technologies, right? So, they're almost a necessary consequence of these sciences, right? Of these forms of social sciences. So, we have to conclude that, when technology, especially communications technology, functions on a large scale, such as how we see today in an international system of trade, then certain measures have to be put in place, and they may seem cumbersome or may seem, too invasive to some, but where you have large scale technologies, you have to measure, privacy and security.
Do you think that social media breeds malignant narcissism?
Oh yeah. I think it's an externalization of the ego. I think it causes people to develop split personality, and yeah, I think people that are not engaged, like for example, I don't have to do much to mediate my personality right here, right? But I take a great risk in doing that, right? Because I'm presenting myself as Muhammad Hassam Kang, right? The anti-philosopher from Detroit, Michigan, right? So it makes it very difficult to hide who I am because I have books published in my name and all that kind of stuff, and right. So I simply but yeah, it's definitely for people who can accept criticism, can accept that infamy is as good as fame, can accept being a character, right? Like I was telling the homie that John Cena just changed to being a bad guy, right? And
the
they
wrestler,
said
yeah.
They said in the news story that the boos are as good as cheers. In his profession, that if he gets enough boos, that he'll be as popular as if he gets enough cheers. And so infamy is as good as fame. This is a new type of game that's being played, right? It's a public
because
sphere,
is it the focus of attention? That's what gold,
right?
And it doesn't matter what good or bad, what scale it's on, huh?
Right. Like I'm very proud to announce that twice in a row we had people mass report our channel, right? In the middle of the stream, right? And take down my stream in the middle. And it was particularly when I was having like a hot evening, right, where I was really rolling.
You're cooking.
Yeah.
Even your ops were giving you props.
Yeah, even the ops were obsessing about how how incredible my performance was. But then those are the days when they try to catch you up. So it's like you have to be aware of the fact that you're pissing everybody off. Right?
But do you think, Machine Lies, that sometimes, especially with the trolls, it's because they have social problems? They don't know how to act within the social environment, within real life, within their community, and so they come online and they project those frustrations with hate.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're socially inadequate.
Yeah, I think a lot of the media, because see that's what I was saying, is that anonymity, being freedom, that gives people a lot of leeway to transform themselves, and that is a kind of a weird aspect of a type of person. Obviously, it's a new type of of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but but yeah, I think it's being mediated and being controlled by oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this guy here. Are We Not Men? I definitely did write a book, right? And I could send it to you. So there's an example of a troll right there.
I have it. I'm reading it right now.
Yeah, Are We Not Men?
As we yeah, that's what I'm about to say. That is a troll.
Yeah. So I could definitely send you that book, buddy. And I'd love for you to read it and comment on it. I mean, but I don't think you're smart enough to. But we'll see.
Kind
of like the Titans looking down on the mortals.
Yeah,
when you were talking to him right there, I like that.
Yeah, but like in a village, you get mad at somebody, you're gonna see them the next day. It's like a weird type of, like, you have to maintain good relations because of proximity. Right. So this is a whole different type of thing where it's almost like you have to not you have to maintain distance for professionalism. Right. And everybody's a brand. Right. So it's like I said, like the idea that the software is free turns you into the product, right? So yeah, it's an extremely precarious situation.
Well, that's why one of the best when you're talking about, like, I think of the medieval days, what you were bringing up, when some of the punishment was to just shun people. I mean, you wouldn't be put in chains, you wouldn't be put in a cage, but no one would talk to you or notice you. That's some high-powered punishment right there. And I don't think people have discipline to do that a lot, especially on some of these panels and stuff or chats.
No, I know. I always say don't engage with trolls because that's exactly what they want. They want that attention.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go away for 3 months and then I'll release like one video. Like, that's the game I play with them. So I'll just ignore them for a very long time. And then because I like to keep them in the loop, to be honest, because it's free promotion in a way, right? So if there's people talking about me on other spaces, it keeps the name fresh, just like in the John Cena situation. You know what I mean? But you have to be conscious of the fact that you're appearing that way to some. You're appearing as a villain in somebody else's movie.
Right. Somebody else's plane, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it's interesting, isn't it, that sometimes people get so caught up in social media that they completely lose all focus of their real lives. What do you say about people like that don't focus on their real life, that are 100%, we mentioned it earlier, eat, sleep, shit, YouTube or whatever platform your choice is. What do you think about people that are that deep in?
Well, just to start from the physiological aspect of it, it's extremely troubling because these people are destroying their health. Constant exposure to radiation. It's been known to increase like aging and cancer and all that stuff, and obviously a sedentary life. You could look up all of the horrible psychological effects and I guess there's obviously social effects, but the physiological and psychological effects of a sedentary life, of just not going outside, of not staring at a distance 20 feet away, within a 20-minute span. If you look at a close distance for a very long time, your pupils don't adjust, and your kids will have to wear glasses, right? So it's changing us on a genetic level. Right, that we're not able to perceive. And I think that is the first thing that I like to tell people, is that don't carry your cell phone on you. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated by notifications 24/7. This is putting yourself in a horrible psychological state. So first, I think would be to mentally and physically dislodge yourself from the dependence on technology itself. Right, and this doesn't have to, and this can be done while using technology, right? It's just a sort of, it's just like you can meditate for 20 minutes a day. You can train yourself to do it, right? It's just like that. You could have a technology fast, right? And psychologically, this is a very good thing to do and to put things in perspective. I mean, right? Because, to paraphrase, Ivan Illich, like I said, not knowing the effects of what things are doing around you, extremely powerful mechanisms. It's like walking in a room and not knowing that the light is on, but the light is on. It's a form of pathology. To not knowing what it took to turn the light on. To having to turn one on, with your own effort, to having one on in a room and not even knowing that it's on, and just accepting it. Right?
Yeah, and then before you put away your phones, please hit me a donation on Buy Me a Coffee. This is this channel I do mainly for my son Ben, in the sense of a record for him, of all my thoughts at the time, and on my friends like Mel and TML, who I'm speaking with, like what we thought what was really going on at the time. So if you ever want, when he gets older, he can always come back to this log of his dad. And what better day to give him a donut, man? It's his birthday tomorrow. So
it's his birthday. Okay, I'm doing it now. Hang on.
It's gonna be 7 years old. Yeah. There's something to be said about it, because we monitor him when he watches some of this YouTube stuff, and it's wild how that parasocial relationship, how they literally have videos where they're talking to the kid, like looking at the camera, and they're like, if you think you're a good person, hit the like and subscribe. It's like, damn, bro.
Yep. By the way,
wild, bro.
By the way, I was talking about the effects of technology on society and psychology and stuff. Almost everything I said was figured out in the 70s, before they had any computers. Every single thing I said comes from pretty much Jacques Ellul, and also Marshall McLuhan, two writers that were in the 1970s. This is before they had the internet, available for the mass public, right? So they were predicting that this would be the effect media, and technology on society before the internet even rolled out, which is pretty shocking. And you have other people like William Gibson, prominent science fiction author, right, who was talking about different ideas. Post-human was an idea he had, post-geological, post-human, where he talked about information moving through the wires, and he coined the term cyberspace, right?
He's the one that did that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff if you actually study it. So it's not my ideas. I'm standing on the shoulder of giants, obviously, and been brought on to, as a specialist on the subject. But yeah, obviously.
Well, now you're pretty high, figuratively and literally, on those shoulders, man. Yeah. Mel.
Yes. Sorry, I was trying to donate on Buy Me a Coffee. And I got to get.
Go ahead. We'll go back to do it. Yeah. Somebody said they said thank you for that. Somebody said that they're like W with the scam when I said like it's my son's birthday. It's like, bro, do you understand how, like, not that I have to preface myself, I guess I'm gonna do it because it'll be fun. StreamYard is not free, especially the tier I have. It is not free, my friend. And plus, my time is not free too. There could be a lot of other things I can do, but I have other streams of income and whatnot. But I choose to do this because it's fun, and and why not make some money off it? I don't have to make a joke and be like, oh, the grift. It's not grifting, or it's just asking. You want to do a dono if I was playing the violin, like that piece you heard before the broadcast start, which is extremely difficult to play. That piece right there. I would put a cup out to give me $1, but I can understand if you're a brokey and how that might be a foreign concept for you. But you can learn. You'll learn. We'll train you. Shout out to Locksmith Jeremy. Happy birthday, Ben. I mean, dang. Yeah. I like this. Flo said you're gonna have to give me more. I don't know, bro. This is a beautiful commercial.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Powdered Dusty.
Come on. You gotta give props to that right there. That's Miss NPC right there too. Did I drop everyone down? What the hell is going on right here? It's time to be a boomer. What the hell's going on? Oh, here we go. I'm really not a boomer all the time. You guys still there?
Yeah, still here.
Okay. Yeah, but machine, bro, like who came up with the para? I read that the parasocial, that term came out in the 50s. They've been knowing about this, or at least had a name for it, huh?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that term, you
Yeah.
know, but yeah, I know, basically Marshall McLuhan, he talked about, ideas like iconicity, mediation, and
Right.
and obviously Lewis Mumford, he talked about the mediation of the world through symbolic, where he talked about culture as a form of biotechne,
Mhm.
so there were some fundamental concepts and ideas that led to, foundational concepts in, anthropology, sociology, and so on, that basically laid the groundwork for looking at, how people function in large groups. And this became science, right? Because of technology, because of industrial society, right? Because you had cities that embraced, multiculturalism and, international trade,
Mhm.
so, it created the need to understand how people function in large groups, right? Among the, politicians and, the clergymen and, the scientists.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I was saying earlier, Machine Lies, that when in my observations, one of the things that I found more complicated to understand was the enablers. Like, there's creators that have got really, really, really bad criminal pasts, right? And yet they have a community supporting those kind of behaviors. What do you think the psychology of that is?
I think it's a blackmail, possibly operation, right? Where it's essentially to get people to react to things negatively and then to film their reaction, right? So it's to bait people, right? So there's a lot of troll groups, right, whose essential, idea is to collect information about people on sensitive subjects, try to gauge their reaction to those subjects, right? And then, try to get them, incite them to do, like, either threaten somebody, right? So there's people who are lawyers for, groups that are, part of defamation groups and all that type of stuff, that go around and create situations where that happens, right? And yeah, it's a form of corporate espionage, because you have to think, we're at the bottom level of a corporation and we're selling things like almost outside, right? Where there's people who actually work at the top floor and work inside the building, right? They're going to be extremely, suspicious about the people selling things outside the building for free, using the space. They might even be trying to spy on them and induct them into the business there or something like that, or or try to vet them, in a way too. Through these troll gangs and all this type of stuff. So there's all sorts of stuff that's going on, right? There's LARP groups, troll groups, right? That's whose sole purpose is to, infiltrate, and intimidate and, blackmail entire communities, right? And it's a form of gatekeeping by the top level content creators most of the time, right? It's people because you'll go ahead and, because their goal is to either steal your content or to create something. See, they'll never create a show like The Machine Lies, right? No AI is ever going to be able to create it. So that's the thing, is that they're constantly trying to either stop it or do something like it, or right, or steal some of the material, or shut it down. Right? There's not many options. Right?
That's interesting. No, because I've known, I was in the true crime community before the Panelverse, and sometimes, like, some creators would exploit children or would interfere with ongoing investigations or would scam, just do the most hideous of things. And yet they've got whole communities supporting that kind of behavior. And I couldn't understand why.
Yeah.
Like, why would one support people who exploit children or exploit victims? I never understood the communities that supported that kind of behavior. What do you think, guys? Do you think, what's that about?
You're saying that they enable or that type of behavior exploiting children?
Right? Yeah, they're enablers.
Well, you pointed out
they're still exploiting children for money. Absolutely, Markella.
How are they exploiting them? What do you mean?
Yeah, you pointed out something interesting about the people that have weird involvements and weird groups that are online.
Oh, okay. We're talking about like those pedo catchers type stuff.
Oh yeah. But
those
people,
not only I don't trust those people, even though that's despicable, doing that, those crimes against children, violating children. But the people are just as weird sometimes. Yeah, they obsess over that.
There's groups that are essentially and that's one good example, right? Where obviously there's people that are involved in criminal organizations, there's people that are involved in private security firms. There's people that are involved in occult organizations that have taken secret oaths, right? And there's also people that are involved in foreign intelligence groups, right? So all of these organizations and groups, it's very obvious that, they're all, have a huge presence online. For anybody who basically meets people online, or talks about controversial subjects online, they'll figure out that they meet these people a lot. And actually, you don't meet these people in real life. When you're walking around, most people are either Christian, Muslim, secular, working normal jobs. Right. So the fact that you only meet these people online is pretty significant.
Right. That is very strange. This is Machine Lines' channel in the background. Sub up if you already have it. I'm sure most people have. You said you have your backup too, right? Because you had some.
Yeah, I had to make another channel because of all the censorship. So we have another channel. There's hundreds of hours of material in the live stream section, but there's also a breakdown of like scholarly works here, really, on the streams, but primary sources. There's also weird conversations as well.
Well, that happens.
Yeah. Well, I try to foster some of the chaos. I get a strange group of people together, like occultists and Christian monks and Hindu priests and also conspiracy theorists.
And straight up bigots too sometimes.
Yeah, bigots, conspiracy theorists, white nationalists, occultists, all sorts of weirdos, come through and express their views.
Yeah.
Racism. Obviously religious fundamentalists as well.
Right. Yeah. Because I've never, before I came to the YouTube platform, I'd never encountered racism in real life. And then I come on this platform and the racism is beyond me. But do you think those kind of people that have, let's say, unwanted, bad, in real life, they'd get bad attention, right? They would be singled out. Do you think that the reason why they do it online is because there is no accountability?
It's like there's three things going on, right? One is somebody who is somebody who is inclusive with everybody, right? Then there's somebody who is sort of exclusive with certain groups of people, right? Then there's a person who's looking at the situation of inclusive and exclusive and saying, I should either try to increase inclusion, and there's also groups of people like accelerationists that say we should try to increase exclusion on a mass level, right? So they're not bigots outright, but they will promote bigotry, right, in order to further that goal, right? So it's interesting to see how the dynamics and why people are motivated to do the things they're doing. See, if somebody says a racist remark or some type of occultist remark or something, I'm more interested in why they're saying the thing they're doing. What motivated them to say the thing that they're saying? That's what people need to pay attention to online instead of what they're saying, right? Don't pay attention to how somebody's saying, but what somebody's saying and why they're saying it. I mean, that's more important.
Oh, hang on. It's going to mute up Pandora 1 second.
Yeah, my machine lines. Lindsay Smith had said earlier, like we were talking. I think you were talking about corporate espionage, and she said, like, what does that have to do with Parasocial's relationship? And to her, it seems like it's more of a what she say, sociology.
No,
like post-industrial. No. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing.
No, it's not. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Corporate espionage is being done by private security firms on these panels. There's spy groups on these panels that work for private security firms, and organizations like that. So the thing is that it's absolutely the people who are involved in collecting information on people, through troll gangs and trying to blackmail people. They are actually using the Discord communities and online spaces in order to do that. There's no other place where they do that. It's only in online spaces and social media and Discord communities and all that. That's the function of these things. Is to spy on people.
That's the main thing.
The military created the internet. It's created by the CIA, right? And at the same time, they created the MK Ultra study. You have to look into it, or you have to look into how the internet is the greatest spy tool ever invented. Most of your parasocial relationships, are obviously they're funneled by an algorithm, right? See, people are meeting because of an algorithm, right? So this is the thing, so this is a form of data farming, right? So if you don't understand that at the very basic level, right, then you're basically lost, right? Because it's like you think that you're having actual conversations with people. It's like it's like Negroponte said. Let me read this quote by Negroponte. Right, he said, monologues will become conversations. The impersonal will become personal. The traditional mass media will essentially disappear. And he also said, this would constitute, as was noted, in the merger of engineering, social sciences, and art, in an interdisciplinary joint metamorphosis of all communication technology. So ponder that, folks. Go rewind the tape. Slow it down to 75%. Hear what I said and ponder those words.
One more time, sir.
Yeah, sure. Monologues will become conversations. The impersonal will become personal. The traditional mass media will essentially disappear. This would constitute, as was noted, in the merger of engineering, social science, and art in an interdisciplinary joint metamorphosis of all communication technology. So if you don't think that that's significant, and that's a necessary consequence of the technology, right? And of the tools that are used to spy on people.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a joint metamorphosis of all of those things. Right?
That's like a very technical jargon version of but actually easy to understand too, as well, to the point, like version of Aleister Crowley's the unification of opposites, everything coming together during this current aeon we're living in.
Yeah.
Chaos, man.
It is chaos. It's absolute chaos. So it's interesting going forwards. Like, where does this end? Where with the direction that it's going in? Do you think will it be good? Will it be bad? The direction that we're moving in?
There's no choice to be good though, but sometimes before, in the end, but sometimes before something gets good, you got to get really bad first.
Oh,
are you ready for that path?
Damn, I'm the villain again. Okay.
I guess you particular, but everyone. I'm asking that. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, there's two ideas that I implore people to explore. One is techno-feudalism. The other is neurocapitalism. I mean, right? And yeah, they're gonna turn people's thoughts and feelings into products, right? And they're also going to, essentially have, sort of feudal states that, where joint stock corporations are like the new form of states, right? So they'll have like little colonies and stuff. Yeah. So this techno feudalism. Yeah. But yeah.
I've heard that techno feudalism for sure.
Yeah. So large scale technologies, they're imposing certain changes on the world economy, and it's easy to research those facts.
Yeah.
Well, guys, Lady Luck, thank you for putting Pandora. But Lady Luck made a good point once. She said, about the bystander effects. Do you think that there's a lot of people? Yeah,
huge factor, huge
Right.
factor. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. That is a huge factor. Technology creates a bystander effect. And I think I think it's way on another. It creates a foggy somatic detachment, right, to the world around you. I mean, nerf world. I mean, right. The world is essentially nerfed by technology.
Yeah.
So the thing is, in that sense, we're extremely detached, and yeah, technology creates a huge bystander effect. Now, how does that, relate to trolling and victimization and bullying online? Well, it's huge.
Yeah.
Right? You simply don't care, right? And it's like Emmanuel Goldstein in 1984. And you'll see certain shows that's what it is. And here's a guy on the screen. Everybody hate this guy. This is the show.
This is what this is. That's what people wanted. Machine, like, I mean, I'm not saying Lindsay Smith wanted this, but her comment's interesting. Okay, here's what the confusion lies. This show is about Mel. Yeah, it's the conversation with Mel, right? In the title. This current topic about AI is not about related to Mel. Yes, it is. It's parasocial relationship experience.
Yeah, she's totally trolling.
Yeah,
she's totally trolling because
this is your choice. You need to be quiet, but I won't be quiet.
Yeah, on the bottom.
I have another comment. As you said, many of us thought that these things dealing with YouTube are going to be. Yeah, we are talking about YouTube. Is it because you wanted us to talk about Mel and others and shame people or something? Is that you're not getting what you want in terms of that? I mean, this is a parasocial relationship. Me talking to you, addressing this, you talking to me, and it's a different form. It's like this panelverse one takes it to the next level, whereas the traditional parasocial relationship is one where the creator doesn't even really respond to the viewer, but yet this creator in the moment is responding to you guys down there, and it becomes not necessarily parasocial, but there's like a third element coming into it, right? This is very, very meta. Very meta.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, you don't need AI to accomplish any of the things that I've said so far. Like I said, all these things were figured out in the 70s, right? By people before the internet was even invented. So you don't need AI to do it. You just need cities to do it. Cities are the form of technology that makes this possible, right? So it doesn't have anything to do with, it just has to do with large scale communications technology, right? Like phones, like phone lines and stuff, right? So, and maybe airplanes, right? So phone lines and airplanes, but see, that's where I'm very confused. Is I don't think I even mentioned AI once, right? See, that's why I'm very confused. But yeah, maybe I'll have to go back and listen. But
yeah, Mel. I guess some people want you to take accountability for something, but I mean, not like no one ever done anything.
All that, we said we were going to talk about the topic at hand,
right? It's like, damn. I'm glad I'm not one of those guys that just, oh, please, I got to do it. What everyone's saying, I have to do it. Yeah, as I'm rubbing my hands together, right now, like a meme. Shout out to everyone that's born on 420. Absolutely, my brother Ali. The Austrian Pater for sure.
Yeah, I think Hank's looking into it. He said when it's bi-directional, it's called a social relationship. That's an interesting point.
Yeah. Thank you, Hank.
So parasocial means you have a relationship with somebody, like it's sort of one-way relationship.
One-sided.
Yeah. That's another good way of looking at it. And that's a good way of looking at the quote that I read earlier. Monologues will become conversations, right? because yeah, you know, there's many people having conversations with my monologue. You know, like when I'm doing my monologue, you know, you know, at the first hour of my show, right? So, so it's very interesting. Yeah,
it is very interesting. It's interesting how the dynamics of this new wave of technology. It's interesting how people interact with each other and with the creators themselves. So yeah, no, that's why I'm all up for studying this year. This year is going to be focused around studying, learning, writing.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you always want to get better, right? You can always get better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love
it
about
is Easter Sunday, and I do have to run off for a big Italian lunch.
Yeah, blessings.
Yeah,
manja.
Yeah, manja. So, you know, I would love to talk. I did say to you, MPC, that I was on limited time this morning. So I would love to talk to you more. We can do something more about this, absolutely, if you're up for it in the future. You know,
absolutely, man.
And maybe, you know, sort of we can. I'm definitely going to hit up Paul, who's in the chat, about how to stop lobbying. So maybe we can discuss that too. You know.
Right, and then your good other bestie just showed up in the chat. Shadow Buddha in the building, bitch.
Hey, Shadow Buddha.
What the hell, man? Okay.
Right. So it's been great talking to you both. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
So
happy Easter, Mel. Enjoy, huh?
Yeah, happy Easter to
celebrate.
You both. And I've given you a little something for your boy for tomorrow.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's just a little something. So happy Easter, everyone, and hope you have a lovely day with your families, and enjoy the day. So I'm off, and I will see you all another time.
That's it.
That's it.
Boom.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having you. Huh? She's out. She's gonna do the race like TK now. All right, Mel. Much love, Mel.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay?
Bye-bye.
Yeah, blessings, madam.
Thank you, Mel. Christ has risen for sure. Absolutely. That's an ISIS worship, right? Machine. ISIS holiday, allegedly.
That's would colloquially be termed mythicism, and
mythicism.
Right. I mean, it's a theory not accepted by the majority of scholars, right? But obviously take that with a grain of salt, because historians have a way of changing their story, right? But obviously, you know, mythicism is the unpopular position that, I mean, Christ was based on older ancient myths, right? Such as those of a dying and rising God portrayed in many, I mean, older traditions. But many scholars have disputed that. Most come to the conclusion that it's based off of Judaism. You know, So yeah. And then obviously the church has its own ideas, right? About how I mean, both Greek philosophy and the Jewish traditions, I mean, I guess amalgamate into the ideas of Jesus. So, you know, they disagree with that.
Yeah. What is your views about Jesus?
Well, I'm a Muslim, so I believe.
Yeah, I know, but he's in the Quran, right?
Oh yeah, I believe. I believe that Jesus was a Messiah, right? And I believe he was sent to mankind to teach the true religion, right? And to basically prepare people for the day of judgment, where everyone's you know, deeds will be weighed on a scale, right? And that's why he implored people to purify their body and to keep their affairs very few and to live a life of simplicity. I'm in preparation for the coming of, you know, the end of the world, right?
Wow.
So, yeah.
The end of the world, capital T.
Yeah.
Capital all caps, locksmiths Jeremy style, all caps, the end of the world. Damn.
Yeah. So in Islam, you know, we say that, you know, there will be a Antichrist in Jerusalem, right? And it will be a Jewish person, right? And a lot of the Christians and the Jews in the world will worship that person as a god, right? Until Jesus shows up and kills that person, right? That person is known as the Antichrist, the false Messiah, right? So that is the idea that we have, right? But more, I guess, in the Orthodox Muslim, idea. So it's somewhat Christian, it's somewhat Jewish, and it's somewhat its own thing, right? In a lot of ways.
Now, in terms of this day, the resurrection, and according to the Bible, the resurrection of the one known as Yeshua, Jesus. How does Islam? Did they even address that, or is that even in the narrative for that? I'm just curious. He resurrected.
Well, the whole idea of the resurrection and the crucifixion is not in there, but everything else is in there. The Immaculate Conception is in there.
Yeah.
And
shout out
also
to Angel Gabriel.
Yeah. Also other things, right? Like it says Jesus talked as a baby, which is in a lost gospel, right?
Really?
And not in the
It's
one
in the
that's
Quran
included by the church, but it's in the Quran. I mean, right? So there's other things in the Quran that can't be accounted for in the Christian scriptures, right?
Wow.
So some people say, yeah. So some people say it's a new story, or but obviously Muslims say that it's a continuation of the revelation that was given to both Moses and Jesus. So so that's what they claim, and they claim that there was no such thing as Christianity or Judaism, right?
Right. No such thing, huh? It was the final call, right? The final testament, the Quran, as they say, right?
Yeah, they just say there's one religion for all mankind, and it's been here since the beginning. Adam followed it, and then Abraham followed it, and then Moses followed it, and then Jesus followed it. So that's what they say. I mean, but obviously that's disputed by Jews, Christians, mythicists, occultists, and it's a divided world. What can we do? And also people are being controlled by religion.
Oh yeah, huh?
Yeah, obviously
Absolutely.
most Christians and Muslims are brainwashed people, right? They're totally being controlled. They're just regular people at this point. Technological slaves, as I say.
Yeah. Well, it seems like some type of Islam is trending. I'm not saying you know what I mean? It does seem like, I don't know if it's because people are just fed up with Christianity, or even being an atheist.
Yeah, I think both are trending. I think traditional Islam and traditional Christianity are trending because of the effects of the modern world. It's mainly because of the effects of liberalism. I think liberalism is on its way out, but technology is on its way up, right? So we're ready to embrace a world that has technology but doesn't have liberalism, right? So that's the only change that's going to happen. Right? So that's the thing with the religious thing, and obviously, in the words of Elul, to paraphrase him, he said liberalism gave birth to its executioner, which is the technological state. So it makes sense.
Yeah. This is fire. I really enjoyed talking to Mel. Absolutely. That was fun. We did cover a lot of educational stuff, a little drama, but also but this right here is like, people are, dude, y'all damn, don't say it, Gabriel. Y'all are kind of weirdos in general. This brother is like dropping cooking, and y'all want to go to leave in the drama. Go away. But okay, man, it is what it is. Many are called, but few are chosen, right, Machine? Brother Rashid?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is. The people that, and that's another thing is that, it's really important, at the end of the day, to see who's really out there for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
sir.
And you have to shit test people, and it's tough love out here, and the thing is that we have to we have to keep people close. People are the real foundation of this thing. We have to choose human scale interactions, not interactions that are mediated by machines, right? So obviously, the more something is mediated, the more is lost in translation. Any movement that's made in complexity, loses in accuracy. So you have to keep your affairs simple, as I said earlier, and you have to you know, like I said, if you hear something and it comes from, you know, if it doesn't come from somebody you know or somebody you know knows, don't trust it. You know, we have to create local bonds, you know, bonds with people we know, right?
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah, that's the only way to step ahead of this algorithm. Like
right.
you said, like what you said earlier, and you said it before, one of your tenants, like the algorithm will not copy the machine lies, you know,
That's right.
your
That's the
platform.
goal.
Yeah.
Right. That's the goal, is to create a show that they can't make with, you know, using an algorithm and AI. Oh, okay. That's where Lindsay Smith said I mentioned AI. Okay, so that was the one. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Man,
that
people
is the yeah.
can get over that. That's the deal on that. Yeah. Do you ever do that whole like rating people, like and all that?
I haven't learned how to do it yet, to be honest.
I don't know how to do it. Yeah,
But
because
I
I'm
want to
about to.
raid Flow State when I learn how to do it.
Yeah, I want to
Because
do it. Give it to him right now because I think he gave.
yeah, he's always
Probably
raiding
gave
us.
to
Yeah,
me.
so yeah, he's always
So
raiding.
I was fucking know how to do that shit. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's do this in real time. How to raid before we go, because there is 30 something people here. Well, he hadn't even started yet, but anyway, let me see. Do they even call it a raid? Oh god, how to raid YouTube.
Oh shit, you gotta go all the way to settings. This is some
Okay,
hacker
yeah.
shit, dude. This is
I'm on
some,
settings right now.
you gotta
Yeah.
like change your
What?
computer settings. This is some wild shit, man.
Change the computer settings, not just the YouTube settings. Oh, settings. I see what you said. Well, yeah, I am. Then they give you channel, advanced settings. Here we go. So, do you want to set your channel? Okay, made for kids. What is this?
Yeah, I tried to
Oh,
go
here
up
we
on
go.
there. I couldn't find it.
I seen the video about it before. Third party train. No, we don't want to do this shit. Basic info. No. Future.
Yeah, see, that shit is hidden.
We're doing.
This dude's live right now, Flow State.
I think he said someone said in the chat he's gonna go live in 10 minutes. Yeah.
It's motherfucking 6 a.m., dude.
I know, man. The people are really dedicated. He did sponsor this machine. He did sponsor it.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Powdered Dusty.
What the fuck?
That's Miss NPC. Oh shit. Anyway, yeah. You can only receive raids. No, yeah, Hornet. I know, like if you have people, obviously people dump or raid. I'll say dump them on other people's stream, right?
Yeah, that makes no sense, because how would you raid somebody else if you can only receive them? Like what? Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Can you receive? Yeah. Yeah, let's watch the video. How to raid. Machine, did you go to the dispensary?
Yeah, I still got. I mean,
crazy?
like I said, it's 6 a.m. So I got.
Oh yeah, for you it's 6 a.m.
Yeah, but there's gonna be a fucking retarded line out the door. So like I said, it's boring as fuck. But yeah, you know, it's worth the deals and shit. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of boring as fuck, I think we got something right here. We'll get back to your cannabis shit in a second.
I just wanted to show you guys how to redirect or do a raid or after you do a live stream. So YouTube just created a way to raid other streamers after you finish your stream. I just want to show you guys how to do that. Now they do call it a redirect instead of a raid, but there are a few things you need to do. First off, go into YouTube Studio and find the tab that says Settings and click on that. And then once you're there, you want to go down to Community.
Oh.
And then after that, scroll down until you see Live Redirects. And then you'll want to make sure
shit. You see that? I didn't know that.
the all channels can redirect to my content clicked.
Okay.
If you want all channels to do that, or just channels that you're subscribed to can redirect to your content, or you can specify what channels you want to redirect to your content. So I like to have all channels can redirect to my content. And then once that is clicked and done, when you create your live or while you're live, you can do this at any point in time. So I'm just going to create a quick one here. This is just one I had set up. When you get to the customization tab, you'll want to scroll down and you'll see the redirect right here.
We're in the middle of a live
click
though.
Add.
This is
And
riveting.
then you
Live
can
stream
either add one of your own videos or you can search other channels and you can have, and you do your live stream and you end the stream, it'll redirect. So once that is done and you do your live stream and you end the stream, it'll redirect all your viewers to that live stream, to that video, whatever it is. Once you've created the live stream, and if you didn't put a redirect in the first time, you want to do it while you're live or at any point in time, you just go to edit, go to customization, scroll down, and you can do it here. Again, search for the channel you want, add them in. It could be live, it could be a premiere, whatever it may be.
You can literally go to the edit a video while we're live right now. I didn't know that. Did you know that? Hello?
Yeah, some weird shit. I mean, I'm just thinking about it. But yeah, I mean, I have changed the title of the video in the middle of the stream, so the thumbnail and shit. I mean, so makes sense.
Okay. There we go. Content. Live. Oh, okay. You're right. Edit. Then he said, go to, she said, show more.
Oh, it says only if you are monetized too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so maybe not. Shit.
Well, I tried. I gotta wait till May 4th to get monetized.
Jess said that. Jess White, she said only if you are monetized. So that might be another code thing because that lady never mentioned that. But yeah.
She did not, because she assumes everyone's mod. They assume everyone's a fucking baller and shit. Yeah. All right. Anyway, remember having fun talking to the machine. Anyway, yeah. Thank you, Jess. Okay. Anyway, yeah, man. What's on your mind? What do you said you go to live on almost every day now, huh? So
well, no, I was just planning on going live every day, and then they mass struck my shit, so I was like, fuck it, I'll just go live again. And like literally the same amount of people showed up on the other channel. So jokes on these motherfuckers, honestly.
Yeah, you had like 30 people in your caliphate?
No, I was like 20. Almost, but it's still a sizable number. Yeah. Like we weren't getting, even 20 in there sometimes. So it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm mainly just trying to record out here, so it's not really about trying to gain an audience or build a community.
That's extra.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a personable, personal individual. You could. Literally reach out to me, talk to me. So I'm not
as we did yesterday.
Yeah,
times before.
Yeah, I'm not a group or organization. So I'm just out here to talk about what I know and to question what other people know. And yeah, I'm definitely not trying to get money or fame or anything like that. So it's all just open, extra.
Yeah. Did you ever think about teaching the conventional way, like at the university, going that route?
Yeah, I've been implored to do it by some of my college professors and stuff. They always had high hopes that I would get into something like that, But from my perspective, I think that's a while away until I get into something like that. I at least want to write like 2 more books. And I think it's fine if I basically live in almost abject poverty as I do that. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable. We're living here in America. We have heating and everything, so it's fine. we have a refrigerator and heating. I can't complain. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, me and my wife, we're a humble bunch. I made this entire show with a $20 microphone and a screen recorder. So
yeah, you make it look 10,000, dog.
yeah, it's definitely looks professionally produced, but
yeah,
I'll have you know that it's not. Like the last episode looks very professionally produced until they cut it off. But yeah, but it's just,
Yeah. Well, I always looked at your broadcast as a like a lecture that you can engage with, and that's why I still do get a lot out of it, because I'm used to those college level courses and whatnot, which I used to enjoy certain ones, especially the ones about humanities and history and stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, and also the music and the imagery.
Oh yeah, that's
kind of
better.
Put together a different aesthetic, which
Mhm.
is a little bit, on a different level, than most people can appreciate. So I think, in terms of art, the type of art I've liked is always, sort of hyper modern, futuristic, and also I have a huge, understanding of like classical art and stuff like that. So I'm more into, obviously I've read lots of classical texts, and so that's the thing, is that I like to focus on a higher level of aesthetic, and I think it's important that normal people can produce that, just like in any age. That the DJs and stuff, they were always making stuff higher than the record companies, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing, is that Socrates was not a philosopher that was part of the state.
Yeah.
Neither was Jesus, right? So this is the thing that we have to consider is, is that genius and convention, they seldom coincide. Right?
Which is funny because like we played the Master of Alan Lennox earlier, and we'll go out to some classical music too. But remember, it was like a lot of these classical musicians back in the 1600s, for example, it was their goal to be attached to a monarch's court, right? Be the court musician, but then we've seen their works here today. But there's probably like a lot of people that were really good at music and during those times, they just, their music didn't stand up the test of time. But now, dude, everyone can make music. Everyone can make visual art. Everyone can stream. To me, that's a new art. Live streaming. Yeah.
Yeah, I got something for you guys. It's called verbal anime. And is an example of the type of shit, where, like I always thought that hip hop should have moved in the industrial direction, and that I think would have been a huge, great success. Where it could be, as I envision, maybe black and white people doing it together,
right?
But where it'd be these two things, which is the industrial and the rock and the, and the techno and all that stuff coming together with the hip hop and, the jazz and all those elements, man. So yeah, I wish something like that could have been invented, in our time. There's still hope that people will create, a new culture.
Ben just listening to us talk. It's going to be osmosis, our conversation. Yeah. There you go. There's hope. There's hope, definitely.
Yeah, like I watched the Coachella yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I didn't actually watch the performances, but I skipped through the performances, just seeing sort of the images and what the people were wearing and all that type of stuff. And, it's wild, the psyops, right?
Man.
Little white guy named Yeet.
I love Yeet. I love his music. I play a lot. I used to play a lot of his music.
Yeah. Like a very vivacious black woman named Glorilla, and I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah.
So there's, she's calling herself a monkey. It's a crazy psyop.
Glorilla, yeah.
It's a crazy.
Her
psyop.
Eyes are very, very spread apart like a gray alien.
Yeah. And And then there's some Asian lady named Lisa. Now the Lisa
I don't know that one.
performance, yeah, the Lisa performance, man, I implore people to look into it. Very cyber, futuristic type of aesthetic. That she was like an Asian, and she had gay black dude performers. Gay black dude backup.
When the gay black dudes come out, it's over, man.
Yeah, so some tiny Asian girls surrounded by
pip off guys.
Yeah. Yeah, some weird shit. I mean,
yeah. I'm not gonna play I won't play the music, but this is me at Coachella right here in 2012. 2012.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Yeah, you showed me that.
Yeah, so I think
it's Flying Lotus. Yeah,
it's Flying Lotus.
Yeah, it's dope.
Oh, ketamine allegedly. But yeah, that's fun times. Yeah, but dude, Coachella. It was at a time when I was listening to a lot of Terrence McKenna, and I was trying to like sync it up with the Eleusinian Mysteries, like at least for me and some of my friends. The place where everyone used to go to get like blasted out of their mind, and I guess transcend something. Yeah. But yeah, Coachella is wild. Yeah, definitely wild. It's one of those places. It's like, to me, it's like the glamping of version of Burning Man. I think those two things go hand in hand. It's more corporatized, Coachella, but now actually even Burning Man is super commercialized now too, but it still has that rawness to it, seems like, and whatnot.
Yeah. And it's linked to, both tech billionaires and also, sort of tech shamanism, and all this type of stuff, and also, Discordianism and the Cacophony Society and all that type of stuff. So it's related to a bunch of weird activity on a base level, and you'll see a lot of these people that came out. I call it techno Buddhism. From the Esalen Institute,
right?
And so if people look into it, there's a lot of ways where, CIA and, obviously, the Frankfurt School. And different ideas of behavioral science, cybernetics, and psychedelics. Obviously, the term psychedelics was coined by Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, right? And his brother, Julian Huxley, coined the term transhumanism. It's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, he did, right? Julian Huxley. Definitely a member of the Tavistock Institute, huh? And whatnot. And, that mind control.
Yeah. Are
social engineers?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, he says Terrence McKenna was a lost soul influenced by demons. Yeah, I think if you look at some of his ideas about Hermeticism and how he wrote about John Dee, and he openly espoused ideas of Gnosticism. So McKenna was a cold-hearted occultist, into like witchcraft.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if people are really aware of that. And so was Timothy Leary. He thought he was
all
like
of
the
them.
reincarnation
All their
of,
books
like,
are talking
Aleister.
about Aleister Crowley. Yeah. And then Terrence McKenna even did a documentary in Budapest, in which my brother-in-law and his wife just got back from. He did a documentary about the magical king, Frederick, the last magical king of Prague.
Yeah, I think I played that. Yeah, I think I played it. He's actually dressed up like John Dee in the
exactly.
documentary. He's looking like a weirdo.
Cosplaying.
Yeah.
Cosplaying, yeah.
He's cosplaying,
and even Jan Irvin did information shows about how McKenna in his later years of life, it's reputed that he really wasn't even doing mushrooms like he said, ingesting mushrooms as much as he said, and as you've said many times, and also me and Rupert in our all three of us in the psychedelic elitism series about like that Esalen Institute on Big Sur in California, bro. That's a hub, definitely, huh? of social engineering. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Lollapalooza, mid-90s. Dave Matthews, wow. And when I went to that Coachella in 2012, like the night before, I went to see Radiohead at the San Jose Arena. That was a trippy show. I think you would have liked that. The aesthetics and the art.
I'm a huge fan of Radiohead.
Yeah. That was fucking amazing. And then they performed that Saturday, because I was like on a Thursday, and I went to Coachella on Friday, because they're in that area, you know, because Palm Springs, Coachella over there, it's not that far away from Northern California or Southern California, and they performed that Saturday on the main stage. But I had already seen them, so I went to go see Flying Lotus on the smaller stage, and then A$AP Rocky made his first debut there. The A$AP Mom and shit. So yeah, that was fun times. Yeah, live music is great. And Machine Lies definitely is fucking bangers with all his remixes and original works. Yeah. I'm gonna shut it down, Machine. This has been. It's gonna be a classic. They're already talking about it already. Yeah. So you know.
Yeah, blessings, homie. Yeah, I threw a song in the back. You can play it if you want, but
okay. Is it copyrighted stuff on that? Because I'm really trying to clean this up before May.
No, it's not. Yeah, I don't think
okay.
So. Yeah.
All right. I want to play it, but yeah.
It's quick.
I'm gonna hold it for myself.
Yeah, it's AMV.
Okay.
You know, so I don't think you get copyrighted for AMV. That's an anime music video. So usually you don't get copyrighted for that, because they chop it up so fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they chop up the screen so fast that, you know, you don't get fucked for it. But yeah, you know, so I've been able to, you know, basically, you know.
Did you make the music for it?
I mean, it's a mashup, but yeah, I mean, so, you know,
that's what I mean. You put together, right?
Yeah, I put it together. Yeah.
Okay, fuck it.
Yeah, it's one of my mashups. You don't really get
I've seen Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Scroll, and Akira, but the illest character that I've seen was in the mirror. Open up the world, people, let me in. It's a family affair, let me make that clear. Yeah, rocker, I keep my propaganda proper. In circles I'm high, swing blades like helicopters. At this stage of my life, I choose to develop chakras, while cats look lost without their teleprompters. Veterano, touring duty, medal of honor. Since life is a battle, your best bet is betting on us. Check your compass, we on stage with weapons on us. Microphone, straight Robin Hoods, it's economics. Yes, it all starts with a sketch. Snapshots, motion pictures, and special effects. We stretch the game out, we expand the nation. And this is verbal anime, graphic animation. From imagination, come to illustration. Then we bring pictures to life, we call it animation. From imagination, come to illustration. Then we bring pictures to life, we call it animation. You gotta know the time, like the grand verbalizer. It's time. Ira science with the herbalizer. A light this bright might burn through your visor. I know you wanna squint, but open your eyes up. I jump up and let the earth spin round. And don't come down till I'm floating over your town. Nothing to prove, making the people move. Red double-decker bus taxi of the tube. Mind the gap, we did crime, now we climb the map. Check how I spit rhyme to rap. Yes, it all starts with a sketch. Snapshots, motion pictures, and special effects. We stretch the game out, expand the nation. This is verbal anime, graphic animation. Herbalizer, UKCALA all day. From imagination, comes to illustration. Then we bring pictures to life, we call it animation. From imagination, comes to illustration. Then we bring pictures to life, we call it animation. I trade money at the Cambio, dollars for pounds. Massacre, musical murderer, I'm killing your sound, but hardly softly. How's it feel to you now? I chew raw iron and I spit steel to the crowd. Magnetic attraction, don't repel. I attract retail, underground rebel. Dilated people, so few crowd to brave. Nice in the studio and live on stage. Drop so many balls, I leave the beat in the cage. Some are courageous, some afraid to turn the page. But grab a stack of rhymes, you can take a quick look and animate my lyric sheets like a flip book. Thoughts in effect, it all starts with a sketch. Snapshots, motion pictures, and special effects. Stretch the game out, expand the nation. This is verbal anime, graphic animation. Yeah, y'all.
I knew that you would see it our way because we explained it very fully. I'm not going to get
Verbal Anime by Irisians. And also the beat is Boards of Canada. So it's
that's Boards of Canada. Them boys from Scotland. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I played whole Boards of Canada. Yeah, I played wholesale Boards of Canada songs and never got struck for it. And so I don't know if they actually strike. Maybe because it's in another country. But I don't know.
I don't know because their music, like what you were saying about how, I'm gonna say me too, my art too. How your art is, it's hard for the algorithm to get on top of it, to scan it. You know what I'm saying? I think them too. I would assume the same for them too.
Yeah, like the original music for those AMVs is whack.
Yeah,
it's always like garbage music over those AMVs. It'd be like a sick video with like some whack music on it. But so
we don't fuck with whack music. Definitely, that's one of our uncommon commonalities between me and the Brother Machine.
Yeah, I can't do it. You know, I got soul.
Can't do it either.
Yeah.
He got soul and he's super bad.
You know,
He's got soul. The man's from Motown. What do you expect, man?
Exactly.
He will not be denied. Got to be done. Northern Cali meets the heart of America, Detroit, right there, basically. So, bruh, once again, this has been a Parasocial Experiences, a conversation with Mel Pandora, featuring special guest Machine Lies, The Machine Lies, brought to you by The Powder Dusty.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by The Powder Dusty.
Damn, he's throwing crack everywhere.
It's all over, bro. It's a crack. We're cracking it up, Machine.
Making it rain, crack.
Making it rain, bro. So I don't know if you caught my intro earlier. Did you catch it? You're in it. So tell me what you think.
Oh shit!
You ready?
Yeah.
Before I play my classical music, let's play this. Shout out to the chat for sticking around. Shout out Buddha in the building, bitch. Zephyr in the building. Even Are You Not Men? And Uncle Fatty, who's a member of the NPC the Game member. And so it's Sherelle Snow. Peace. Much love. Check this out, Machine.
You're watching KBHK TV 44 San Francisco.
From the terrifying universe of the inner mind to the outer reaches of the imagination, we're waiting, poised at the edge of our seats. Time stops as we approach the unknown. Just when we think we're safe, the moment happens, and we...
Saturday night, time for gas theater. Join me, Tom Labrie, for the best in late night fright.
Horror, suspense, mystery, science fiction, the supernatural. And now, sit back, relax if you can. You are about to enter the world of
NPC the Game.
Dope. It's killer. Yeah, that like cloud music. No, I call it cloud music. It's like, man, that shit is deep. When you come in with that music sometimes. Some highly meditative. Yeah, this is nice. Yeah, that's the chill spot. The Powder Dusty. Cyber Caliphate.
Cyber Caliphate for sure. There's the link right there for the Flow State live right now. Probably reviewing this stuff. Make sure
shit. He's probably shitting on what I was saying, you know. He's probably reacting to it, saying, this is fucking dumb as fuck.
Hey man, I think that'd be all cap if he did say that. Definitely.
Bring it, Flo. Bring it, Flo.
Yeah. This has been look at Machine Live. He said bring it. You heard him. I think this was great because I got to see like how people can't really follow directions. Machine, like, you know, they're so used to like I'm gonna do it my way. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, type of shit. Like,
yeah, I call them recalcitrant fucktards.
Recalcitrant fucktards. That sounds awful, dog. That sounds awful, man. Yeah. Everybody here. Still 24 people, man. Much love to y'all. Appreciate y'all. Yeah. What are we gonna do? Shout out to Mel Pandora for sure. A good person, my friend, you know. But you don't need me to say it, but I'm gonna say it, yeah. The Machine Lives. Hang out for a second in the back for a second, if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no worries.
Outro. Okay. All right. Buddha, check your DM. So check out Machine Lives, the Machine Lives, or his backup channel, the what Caliphate?
Cyber Caliphate.
Cyber Caliphate, bro. Legend. Thanks, Machine, for coming on, brother.
Yeah, blessings, homie. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So yeah, we did it. You know the deal. We we had an experiment basically on parasocial experiences. Yeah. What's what do you say, Leopard Print? NPC, did that go as you had planned? To keep it 100, not to be what they say. I'll just say this. Yeah, I didn't really have any expectations except it was going to be fire. Yeah. That's so. It did. It met my expectations for sure. Because in the end, I have that's you, Leopard Print, and other people. I have a life outside this. Actually, I've been up here for almost 3 hours talking to my friends, you guys. But when I could be playing video games and packing for my vacation. About to go on vacation with the fam for Ben's birthday. So shout out to everyone. Appreciate the donos for Ben's birthday. Hopefully you learned something. If you're a fiend, hopefully you got your drama fixed, and in order for you to see clearly when the dope is gone. Yeah. I'll leave it to Muscle Lee to say happy birthday to Lil Man. Absolutely. Much love. Keep your eyes open, because if they're not, your eyes are probably wide shut. NPC the Game live.